A year and a half ago, John Cena stood in the ring during Money in the Bank, and he announced that he was going to be retiring in 2025, that this would be his final year in the ring. And people began to wonder, what is this retirement year going to look like? And fantasy booking all of the different matches that he could have and all of the old faces that he could step into the ring with. And of course, now we are at the end of the retirement run, and there's going to be a lot said and a lot made about this final year for Cena, the good, the bad, the ugly. There was a lot of it this year. But one decision that I was pretty content with was Gunther as his final opponent. There were some people who did not like the idea of Gunther being this man's final opponent. They think Gunther is boring. I don't see Gunther as boring. I see Gunther as a throwback. I see Gunther as the ultimate final boss. I see Gunther as somebody who it's almost impossible to go in there with and have a bad match. So you could at least be assured that John Cena in his final match was going to be able to go out there and have a good outing on his way out, right? Win or lose, it didn't really matter. But over the course of this retirement run, there's been a lot of missteps and a lot of, man, they should have done this. And everybody's going to have their own ideas and opinions on that. And that's cool, right? That's wrestling. That's the discourse online. Everybody can have their own opinion about how things should have gone. I have mine, you have yours. But one thing that I really felt in the weeks leading up to this show, even though it goes against all conventional wisdom, you would hear from these old school wrestlers that say you have to go out on your back. You have to go out the right way. You have to do the honors on the way out. You have to leave things better than you left it. And you have to leave it that way because you're gone, and whoever beats you is going to continue on. And I understand that. I understand that concept. I get that idea. But I really felt that it would be the wrong move for John Cena to go in there and lose his final match, especially after this run that he has had. Very mixed bag. 19,000 people there in Washington, D.C. tonight. And man, if these people deserved anything, it was a happy ending. It was to send these people home happy and have one really happy memory of John Cena's final match at the end of a very mixed retirement run. And they came into tonight, and we had the match between these two men. And it will not go down as the best match of John Cena's retirement run. John Cena has had better matches this year. John Cena had a better match with Cody Rhodes. John Cena had a better match with AJ Styles. It was not a bad match. They actually went in there. I thought they had a good match. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was amazing, awesome stuff, because it wasn't. It never really reached that level. It got a little repetitive there in the middle after some of those clothesline spots, but as the match went on, they had the people on all the near falls, and it was building, and it was like, okay, this is the kind of match I was expecting these two to go out there and have. But the story coming into the match was Gunther going on television and saying, I'm not just going to beat John Cena, I'm going to make him give up. John Cena's entire run over the past 20 years has been about one thing: never give up. It's on all of his t-shirts. It's on all of his hats. It's on all of his little towels that he comes out. Every single time he comes out, we see the little towel, never give up. All the little kids running around, never give up, right? It's his whole mantra. This entire babyface run over the last 2 decades has been built around this idea that you never give up. And they really wanted you to believe coming into the show that Gunther was going to make this guy give up. And I said it even as late as last night in the SmackDown review. I said I would be stunned if they go in there and the one thing that they do is they have this man tap out. Verbally submit. Nobody really does that anymore. That used to be the way it was done before Ken Shamrock came in. But now everybody taps out. I would be stunned if they went that route. As the match is going on, we see Gunther with the sleeper hold. He's trying to put John Cena out, but he keeps fighting out of it. And I loved it because they did the spot where the arm drops once and then the arm drops twice. When was the last time WWE did that? They've been doing the one arm drop now for years, but all of a sudden tonight, it's the old school way of doing it, but nevertheless. But then John Cena, he's still in it, right? He keeps fighting and he's fighting and he's fighting until ultimately he can fight no more. Gunther has him in the sleeper hold. The fans are literally chanting at him, don't give up. And what does John Cena do? How do they decide to end this match here? How do they decide to end this retirement run? By having John Cena look, and I don't know if he was looking at his wife or who he was looking at. He was looking at somebody in the crowd. He didn't look particularly bothered by being trapped in this sleeper hold. He had a smile on his face. Perhaps he was resigned to his fate. I'm sure there are people that will argue, well, can't you see the story that was being told here? This man was trapped at a hold he knew from which there was no escape. Everything he was trying to do to this man wasn't working. He had no choice but to tap out. And what followed was the most half-hearted tap out that you will ever see in a professional wrestling match. As the man goes out tapping with a smile on his face. And not since the Undertaker's streak was broken at WrestleMania have you seen a crowd this stunned. Stunned. Little kids in the crowd crying, people with their eyes wide open, right? This is what they were going for. They were going for the moment. They were going for the visual. They had the camera all prepared and ready for all the crowd shots, for all the shocked fans in the audience. They weren't too happy about what they saw. Gunther beats John Cena by making him do the one thing that he told everybody, never do, never give up. Now, you could say that there's some sort of poetic justice in that. You could say that there's some sort of metaphor or story there to it. All I saw there was a finish that was completely and utterly horrendous. I disagree wholeheartedly with that finish. And obviously the crowd of Washington, D.C. did as well. But you can understand why, because a lot of people in the building tonight, 19,000 people, basically gave their firstborn away to get tickets to this show. That is not the outcome that they were hoping for at the end of this show. Triple H comes out with the rest of the locker room when the match is over, and boy, they didn't like Triple H either. They let him have it. Fuck you, Triple H. You fucked up. Serenaded with chants from this crowd. He was the biggest heel in the building. Triple H ended up being a bigger heel than Gunther. The final visual, or one of the final visuals and parting images of John Cena's retirement, will now be Triple H being booed out of the building in Washington, D.C., and being serenaded by chants of "you fucked up." That is now one of the lasting images of John Cena's retirement. And my issue isn't even that they had Gunther win the match. I would have preferred to see John Cena get the win, because sometimes, you know what? For the crowd, and not just the crowd in Washington, but just the audience in general, it's just the right thing to do. You talk about moments. You talk about reading the room, right? Reading the room is not something that WWE did very well tonight. But I don't even have an issue so much with Gunther winning the match. It's the way in which he won the match. I think that was a horrendous decision. And I can't sit here and tell you for sure that it was even Triple H's final decision. It probably was. Maybe it was John Cena who went to them and said, this is the way that I want to go out. I find that hard to believe, because all we've been told this entire time, including by Cena himself, is how deferential he is to the powers that be. How deferential he always was to Vince McMahon, how deferential he is to Triple H. He doesn't rock the boat. He shows up to work. He's a loyal soldier. He does what he's told. He doesn't push back. Now I'm supposed to believe that John Cena came in and said, this is the way that we're going to do things? Maybe it was. You know what? Even if it was John Cena's decision, I hope he's content with his decision, because he deserves to be. He deserves it. John Cena has put over 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears into this company. John Cena has gone in there year after year after year and busted his ass and worked his way up the ladder, and has had tons of classic matches, 17 world championships, all the Make-A-Wish stuff, all the stuff that he has done for this company over 2 decades. He deserves to go out the way that he wants. To me, this reeked of a WWE creative decision that, you know what? The ultimate thing for us to do, we're going to have John Cena go in there and give up. Boy, what a rub that'll give to Gunther. So now I have to sit here and I have to, I'm sure, wade through comments about, well, you know, it's all about the future. Yes, 40-year-old Gunther is the future. It's all about the future, and it's all about giving Gunther the rub, as if Gunther beating John Cena in any other way wasn't enough of a rub for him to go out there from this point on and say that he was the man who retired John Cena. I'm the man who put John Cena out, had John Cena gone stone cold unconscious, let's say, in the sleeper holder. I'm the man who pinned John Cena's shoulders to the mat. You would have gotten plenty of rub out of that. You want to prepare Gunther for a big match with Brock Lesnar. I don't really see what major difference that would have made. But instead, what you did is you gave the fans the most deflating possible finish to the man's final match. And on top of all that, and on top of the crowd rebelling and turning against this finish, and it got ugly there. It got ugly at the end. And frankly, John Cena didn't deserve that in his final match, that this is now going to be the story of the match. But beyond that, they play a tribute video to John Cena. And we get to watch him in picture as he's watching this video. And then when it's over, John Cena does what many wrestlers do when they have wrestled their final match. Undertaker did this at WrestleMania 33 when he thought he had wrestled his final match. Probably should have. But there in Orlando, he took the jacket off, right? Took the gloves off, took the hat off, left it in the middle of the ring. We just saw the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys at the TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view at the end of their ladder match, right? Left their boots in the ring, gave their boots to Matt and Jeff Hardy. That's what you do. John Cena takes off his sneakers. And he takes off the armbands. And he leaves the ring. No comments. No post-match speech. Nothing. So as if the finish wasn't bad enough, and that wasn't deflating enough, they didn't even get to hear from John Cena. He just left. He saluted everybody, and he was gone, like a flash in the wind. And so ends a 20-plus year career, in my opinion, in the most deflating possible way, after a very mixed bag of a retirement tour. This will be a finish that will be debated by people. I'm going to get all kinds of comments from people. Oh, you're wrong. This is how it had to be. This is how it had to be. He had to tap out. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. And the fact that he did and did so in the most anticlimactic way possible, it was almost an appropriate way, frankly, for his final match to end on this retirement tour. In many ways, you know what? Maybe it was apropos that it ended the way that it did. But I just think that sometimes, you know what? You do what's right in terms of the story. And you do what's right in terms of what you think is going to be an appropriate ending to that story. I think John Cena should have won. The fact that Gunther won, fine. They're going to build him up for some big match at WrestleMania. He's now going to be the career ender. He's going to be the legend killer now, the new legend killer. He retired Bill Goldberg. He retired John Cena. He'll probably retire AJ Styles, and they'll have a really good match next year, and so on and so forth. And you know what? I hope it all works out for them. But it's not as if the finish had gone a different way and he won in different fashion, that it would have negatively impacted his perception among wrestling fans, that it would have somehow negatively impacted the perception of Gunther as this destroyer. He would have been just fine. But you would have been able to give the crowd at least something to hang their hat on. This is a man who spent 20 years saying never give up, and in the end, even though this man wanted him to, Gunther literally was in the middle of the ring on Raw Monday night telling us, I'm going to make you give up. Right? We got no response from Cena because he wasn't around to promote the match. And then you just go in there and he does exactly what he said he was going to do. Instead of having John Cena say, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And let him go out cold. Even that I could have accepted. And frankly, the fans, while they would have been disappointed, I think they would have been able to stomach that a little bit better. But now they're getting a lot of backlash for that finish. What do you expect? People paid a lot of money to come to this show to see John Cena's final match, and that's the ending you give them. You can't fault the fans for being upset and rebelling against the finish of the fucking match. It's not like the fans are missing the point here. I think the fans have a right to be upset about it. I don't blame them. They went with the one finish that I said this would be the worst finish that they could do. And that is how John Cena's career comes to an end. Selfless until the very end. Because the story about John Cena in the last several years of his career is that, again, he is willing to do whatever he thinks is going to be good for the company and whatever the company expects him to do. And if this is what the company expects him to do, then you know what? He's going to go out there and he's going to do it to the best of his ability. But I think what ends up happening sometimes is you do it to the detriment of the show. You're telling stories. You know, they fancy themselves as storytellers. We tell stories. And yes, sometimes those stories aren't happy stories. Sometimes those stories don't have happy endings. I get that. Not every retirement, unfortunately, can be like Sting's retirement, which was fucking awesome last year. But not every retirement is going to be that way. Sometimes guys are going to go out on the losing end of things. I just think the way they went about doing it tonight was horrendous. And I think it's sad that part of the lasting image now will be of these angry fans chanting at the booker when he came out to the ring and saying, "Fuck you, Triple H. You fucked up." Yeah, you did. You fucked up. But it doesn't take away from the career that John Cena has had. He's had a very blessed career. John Cena has had frankly, a more blessed career than most Hall of Famers right now in the WWE Hall of Fame. The longevity that this man had on top for so many years. And we could get into the reasons why that was, and maybe sometimes at the expense of Vince McMahon pushing other people who were getting over and had their legs cut off. Whether or not you want to blame Cena for that is irrelevant. But the point is, this man had a run on top that was longer than, frankly, most of the major names that you would think of that are probably on many people's Mount Rushmores. Even Hulk Hogan didn't have as many years on top during his first run in WWE, his first major run, as John Cena had. John Cena had him beat by about a year and a half. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Randy Savage. We can go up and down the list here. Doesn't mean that John Cena is the greatest of all time. Of course, that's a very subjective thing. He's not my GOAT. He may be your GOAT. He's certainly in the conversation. But wherever you think he falls in that pecking order, the last year will not define his entire body of work. And the fact is, he has a very impressive body of work when you look back at all of the matches that this man has had in his career. And some of those great matches happened this year. Unfortunately, I think we could have gotten more of them. And we had that, terrible heel turn, which never should have happened in the first place. 12 years too late. I think that heel turn 12 or 13 years ago would have been fucking amazing. But it didn't happen. So that story will be told about the final year for John Cena. As far as this show is concerned, one thing John Cena made it very clear that he wanted to do coming into it, he wanted to shine a spotlight on the future and have other matches involving talents from NXT. So we had Femi, the NXT champion, on this show. We had Ruca, who was going to be a future women's world champion, guaranteed. We had Leon Slater and Javon Evans. We had the TNA X Division champion on Saturday night's main event. So that was very cool. There really were no bad matches on the show. Every match was at least good. There was nothing blow away on this show. There was the potential for that, but they kept many of the matches very short. I don't know. I don't even know. How long did the main event go? The main event was clearly the longest match on the show, but most of the matches on this show, I don't think went longer than maybe 10 minutes or so. So a lot of them never really had time to get going. You had Cody Rhodes and Femi, who of course had the screwy finish, thanks to Drew McIntyre, which everybody should have seen that coming. But boy, did Femi show up tonight and make a statement. People love to throw the word aura around. When people walk out, oh, this guy, he's got aura, right? This woman has aura. Femi has aura. Femi walked out there tonight. That's a guy that you can build this company around for years to come. People talk about Braun Breaker and other people. Femi is at the top of that list. Ruca, as far as the women's division, she's also in that top mix going forward. Javon Evans, 21 years old. My God, he's still so young, but you could see the potential in him as well. So John Cena at least was able to, make one request, which was, I don't want this night to be just about me. I understand it's my retirement, so a lot of it's going to be about me, but let it also be about the other people who are coming up, who are on the ascent, like I was when I walked out there and I accepted that open challenge from Kurt Angle in 2002. So I actually thought, as far as Saturday night's main event shows are concerned, this was one of the better ones that they've done this year. But man, that finish and the way it was done is going to leave a very sour taste in people's mouths. And I do not blame the fans one iota. They have every right to feel that way. Again, sometimes you do a finish that in the moment, it pisses you off. But like you look at it and go, man, this was the right thing to do. I just don't think this was the right thing to do. I don't think Gunther winning in the way that he did needed to happen that way. I think you could have had a compromise where he wins, but you give Cena a little something. He goes down fighting. There was no struggle there. Whatever story they were trying to tell, or he was trying to tell with that smirk on his face, for me anyway, it didn't work. It came off as lame. And it's too bad, because I take him at his word. There will never be another John Cena match ever again. What we saw tonight is his last match. This will not be a Terry Funk or a Mick Foley retirement, or any other number of wrestlers that have said, I'm done, and then they come back. He's finished. And so for it to happen that way, I think was a shame. Match itself was good. The finish was not. And I'll let you all debate that in the comments. This is your Saturday night's main event review for John Cena's final match. It is December 13th, 2025. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. We got a lot to get into here. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of comments about the main event and how things went down at the end of the show. So send them on in. You'll see them popping up on your screen. And we will get into all of it here from top to bottom. I see a lot of you. I see a lot of comments going by in the chat. We have a bonus goal going, by the way. We're already 10 out of 15 on that bonus super chat goal for some Be the Booker action. So it's a little fun segment we do here at the end of these streams if you're new here. So we may hang out and do that a little bit later on. And also, memberships are open. If you want to gift a membership to other people on the channel, you may do so. Shout out, by the way, to Boots, who gifted 20 memberships. Man, Boots, you are a beast. Boots is always a beast. We love Boots around here. We don't love Brie mode. I'll accept it here because it was a super chat that came in, but just generally speaking, we do not really accept Brie mode around here. Speaking of boots, I mean, I was going to say John Cena left his boots in the ring, but John Cena doesn't wear boots. I don't think John Cena has worn boots since 2002. By the way, you saw John Cena out there tonight in the jorts. That was the last time that you will ever see John Cena in the jorts. He has said that he'll be making appearances in the future, but in terms of the t-shirt and the hat and the jorts and the sneakers, tonight was it. From now on, you're going to see him in the suit and tie. You're going to see corporate Cena from now on. Shout out to Rob. Oh my God, 10 more gifted memberships. Look at this. Santa has come early. Let's start from the beginning here, because they opened this show with shots. I wish we started with shots. With shots of Shawn Michaels, Johnny Gargano. There he is. That's the new super chat. Super SAIYAN Cena. It's the new $10 super chat. Just the special for Cena's retirement. Shawn Michaels, Johnny Gargano, Trish Stratus, Kurt Angle, Mark Henry. They had the Punisher. They had Shane from The Walking Dead, actor John Bernthal, who actually I think is, oh God, what is he? Is he Kurt Angle's nephew or cousin? He's related to Kurt Angle, I think, by marriage. So he was there. We got a shot of him in the crowd. Rapper Metro Boomin was there. And some of the other wrestlers were walking around backstage. So then we got a video, retrospective of Cena's career. And then it was time for some actual wrestling. And they opened with the WWE champion, Cody Rhodes, taking on the NXT champion, Femi, with a special cameo by Asuka, dropping in unexpectedly. Hey, DJ Flash, thank you for the 15. SAIYAN, did I say it wrong? Super SAIYAN? Okay, thank you. See, my understanding is that when it was translated from Japanese to English, the translation was actually incorrect. So there's a lot of people who say the word wrong. So I thought it was SAIYAN. You're telling me it's SAIYAN. Well, I'll take your word for it. You know more about Dragon Ball than I would. Nephew-in-law, is that what he is? Okay, see, I knew they were related by marriage. So Cody Rhodes is the WWE champion. He entered first. I like that. Because you can't really go wrong here, right? You got two champions coming out. Normally, the champion entering first would annoy me. But since they're both champions, it's okay. Can I just say, Femi, his entrance, I know this is his entrance from NXT. The way they produce and shoot his entrance is fantastic. You see the shadowy figure. You get the music. He comes out. He's doing the dance, right? This guy's going to be fucking money, man. This guy's money. So he makes his way out to the ring. And, they pointed out on commentary that he was discovered through their Next in Line program 3 years ago. So think about this. Think about where he is right now. He was not wrestling before. He was discovered for his athletic background 3 years ago. He's been doing this for 3 years. And look how far he's already come. Think about where he'll be a few years from now, right? It's kind of scary. So anyway, this was his first main roster match. Hopefully not the last one he'll have in these next few months. So he won the chance here to wrestle Cody by regaining the NXT championship from Ricky Saints at the NXT Deadline show last weekend. Femi typically, overpowers his opponents in his matches. This was no different here. He was doing the same thing here with Cody, throwing him around. There was an early spot where Cody went for that drop-down thrust that he does. Oba just reached down and just grabbed him. He just snatched him and brought him back up to his feet like a child. So Femi hit a backbreaker, and he was starting to pick apart Cody. Oba whipped Cody into the corner, and Cody started throwing some punches. Oba didn't like that, so he picked up Cody, and he beeled him halfway across the ring, again, like a small child. Cody did dodge a charge in the corner and went for a power slam. That snap power slam that he does. He couldn't get him up. Oba just looked at him. So he stuffed that attempt and then hit a power slam of his own. Every time Cody would throw a kick at Oba just shook it off and he would deliver one of his own. So Oba charged into the corner. Cody moved, and that sent Oba into the ring post, shoulder first. So Oba now, he staggers back, and Cody does hit the snap power slam this time. Then he hits a Cody cutter, and Oba kicks out at 2. Cody tried another cutter, but Femi caught him, and Cody twisted Femi out over the top rope to the floor. He went for a dive out after him. Oba caught him with an uppercut on the way through before Cody could even leave the ring. So Oba charged in the ring again. Cody, though, pulled down the top rope. That sent Oba out of the ring. Cody followed with a suicide dive over by the aisleway. By the way, I forgot to mention, Jesse the Body Ventura was back tonight. Now, he was not on the actual show, but if you were watching the pre-show, they had him as part of the panel multiple times, and I love it because it's just Jesse being Jesse. Jesse's always very practical. And Jesse, they're talking about how Cena's a 17-time world champion, and Jesse says, yeah, but there's one thing you got to remember. If he won it 17 times, that means he lost it 17 times. And that's not something that I would be bragging about. And I thought to myself, you know what? He's right. He's right. If you were to ask me, if I was a wrestler, would I rather have like one really long title run, or would I rather have like 10 shorter ones? I would want the one long title run. To me, that's more impressive. Right? 1,300 days, Roman Reigns as the undisputed champion. That's far more impressive than if Roman Reigns won the title 8 times and then lost it 8 times. Jesse's right, as always. Jesse is right. So it was good to see him back, but he was not on the actual show. So back in the ring, Cody came off the ropes. Oba caught him and hit a great spine buster for a near fall. And the crowd was really with him here. Crowd was super into this. Femi clotheslined him over the top rope. He went to the outside, and he's Cody's over by the announce desk. And Oba is kind of stalking him, and he comes like Braun Breaker, right? He's rounding the bend, and he comes charging in. Now, if you have a guy as big as Oba Femi, and he is running towards you, okay, at an increased rate of speed, first of all, I would probably shit myself. And with any luck, it might actually leak out and fall on the floor, and then he would slip and fall, right? And that would be my opening. See, that would be my strategy. But here, that didn't happen. Instead, he comes charging in with this running uppercut, and both men go flying over the announce desk. Oba took a pretty rough bump onto the announce desk and then bounced off and landed on the floor. Cody, though, got the worst of it because he came up bleeding from the ear. And the first thing I thought of was Travis Scott at the Elimination Chamber when Travis Scott busted his eardrum. I'm like, that's just what he needs. Another busted eardrum here in 2025. Hopefully it was just something superficial, but as the match went on, I mean, it was bleeding pretty good to the point where the blood was kind of smeared across his jaw. And it almost looked like, well, is it coming from his ear or his mouth? Clearly it was coming from his ear, though. So back in the ring, Femi planted Cody with a chokeslam, only got a 2 count. Cody came back with a Cody cutter, and now both men were down. Now, at this point in the match, the fans begin to stir. There's a commotion in the crowd. And I knew exactly what was about to happen. I knew exactly who was coming out. They weren't showing him. But then sure enough, who shows up at ringside? It is Drew McIntyre. The suspended Drew McIntyre, who slides into the ring and he attacks Cody for the very lame disqualification. Fans booed. They did not like this finish. Not the only finish on this show that they would be booing before this night was over. Oba popped up. He also wasn't happy about this. So he pulls McIntyre off of Cody. The two of them share a stare down. Now the fans are getting into this. They like this. So McIntyre is like putting his finger at his chest, and Oba shoves him back on his ass. And as McIntyre gets back up to his feet, Cody comes off the ropes, takes him down with a Cody cutter, and then Oba puts the exclamation point on things with a choke slam. So Drew McIntyre, still jobbing. Then, now, and forever. Poor Drew. And you know what? I'd like to say that I'm confident that when he and Cody get back in the ring together, I'm guessing on January 2nd, he might actually win the championship this time. I cannot sit here and tell you that I am terribly confident about that. Although I will say if they're going to do the match, there's really no reason to do it if not to put the title on Drew. Are they actually going to follow through and do it? That's a different story. So Cody grabs both belts and he tossed the NXT championship to Oba, and he went to go raise Oba's arm, and the crowd cheered. Oba then raised Cody's arm and they shook hands. So we have a mutual respect here between these two champions, but no clear winner because they wanted to play it safe and they didn't want to beat anybody. Now, in a perfect world, Oba Femi would have gotten the biggest win of his career here and pinned the WWE champion. And I think Cody is enough of a made guy that it wouldn't have really hurt him. But I get it. I understand them not wanting to pin Cody Rhodes, and I definitely did not want to see Oba Femi take a pin here in his first main roster match. I mean, it's against Cody, but still. So I get it. But too often, WWE does this, where they have to play it safe, right? We can't beat this guy. We can't beat this woman. So we'll have to just play it right down the middle. We'll have a no contest. We'll throw it away. You know, after a while, it just gets tiresome. They're afraid to take chances. That's the real issue with the booking a lot of the time. But I understand why they did this here. Was it a cop-out finish? Yes. Yes, it was. But they did it in a way that I think was smart. Because if you were going to do a cop-out finish like this, do it in a way where you piss the fans off, but then you give them a moment, right, where they can cheer and be happy. And also you give Oba a moment to shine because Oba's like, yeah, what the fuck, dude, right? And Oba beats up Drew. So you make Oba look strong, right? Because he didn't ask for this. So let me put this guy down, which is what he did. He put Drew McIntyre down. That's the right way to do it if you're going to do a finish like that. But also, it's interesting is what we saw tonight, a hint at maybe a direction for Oba if he's going to be called up soon to the main roster. Is there a potential WrestleMania match between Oba Femi and Drew McIntyre? Because I was thinking about that. If Drew McIntyre is not going into WrestleMania as the WWE champion, okay, and he's not going in as the champion. Even if he wins the belt from Cody in their next match, he's not going into WrestleMania as the champion. What does he do at WrestleMania? Now, Oba is the NXT champion. I don't want him to be the NXT champion for longer than he needs to be. Oba Femi should be on the main roster starting in the Royal Rumble. I would have him drop that championship in New Year's Evil. I'm gonna say they run back Oba and Javon Evans with Ricky Saints thrown in. We may get a triple threat on New Year's Evil since Javon already got his match and lost. And you can beat Oba without him having to take the loss. It's perfect. You could put the NXT championship back on Ricky Saints at New Year's Evil. without Femi even taking the losing fall. You could build to Ricky Sainz and Javon Evans at Stand and Deliver. And you can debut Oba in the Rumble. And let that be his official call-up to the main roster. And SmackDown specifically, because SmackDown fucking desperately needs somebody like him. Drew McIntyre is on SmackDown. Oba and Drew is a WrestleMania match? Shit. Sign me up. I'm all for that. I think that'd be a great idea. As far as this match here, I love the dominance. Oba was pretty freaking dominant. I mean, the way they portrayed him in this match was pitch perfect. Everything Cody was doing, most of it wasn't working. Oba looked really good here in this match, and I think he was portrayed exactly the way that he should be. So I like this. I thought this was good. I can't say it was great. You can't have a great match when it's that short with a terrible finish like that. Those are just 2 strikes against it. But what they did here, I thought was good. Now we have Bayley against Sol Ruca. This was our lone women's match here on this show. Bayley, of course, representing Monday Night Raw. She came out with Lyra Valkyria in her corner, and we had Sol Ruca out with her tag team partner, Zarya. Bayley came out with a big smile on her face when she saw Trish Stratus in the front row. She went over to go hug Trish, and do you know who was sitting next to Trish? Eve Torres. Eve Torres. I had a crush on Eve Torres. I thought Eve was just fantastic. Eve is a beautiful woman. She looks the same to me. Like, Eve is still a beautiful woman. And Eve is somebody who actually did make improvements in the ring. I'm not saying that, she's a Hall of Fame women's wrestler or anything like that, but she and Candice Michelle were 2 women from that Divas era who I felt made noticeable improvements in the ring. And of course, Eve had a storyline at one point with John Cena. Remember her and Zack Ryder and John Cena, and she kissed Cena. So that's the connection there with her. I can't remember the last time we've even seen her on WWE television. It's many, many years. They usually don't bring her back. So it was good to see her. She was in the front row. So Bayley got a headlock right off the top, and she transitioned into a waistlock takedown. Ruca took down Bayley with a flipping Rana head scissor, followed by an X Factor. Bayley rolled to the outside to try to recover, and she was able to lure Ruca to the ropes. When she got there, Bayley hung her up on the ropes, so the fight moved out to the apron. Sol kicked Bayley to the ground, hit a PK right to the face. She went to go for a flip from the apron. Bayley moved out of the way. Sol turned around. She got mowed down. So Bayley threw her back inside. Ruca, though, planted a kick right in Bayley's face, sent her right back out. And then she hit a handspring moonsault out over the top rope and landed on top of Bayley. And it's funny because a friend of mine was watching the show with his family. They had never seen Sol Ruca before. They don't watch NXT. They don't know anybody from NXT except, Joe Hendry. And he's texting me during the show. She's got 4 new fans now. Just from this one match. Sol Ruca got 4 new fans, at least, just from this one match. They were very impressed by what they saw from her here in this match. And her gymnastics and her tumbling background. The only thing I fear for when it comes to Sol are her knees. She's already had an ACL operation, right? She had the brace, or still has the brace, on her knee. When you're doing a lot of those flips and the over-the-top moonsaults and stuff and landing on your feet, you got to be careful. There's been an epidemic of knee injuries and ACL tears with that NXT women's division over the last few years. That's the only thing I worry about with her. But she stays healthy, sky's the limit for her. So anyway, Ruca put Bayley back in the ring, went for a springboard splash. Bayley, though, moved and Sol crashed and burned. She eventually recovered, though. She went for another springboard, walked right into a Bayley to belly suplex, only for a near fall. Ruca came back with a kick and a backslide. Bayley, though, transitioned into a rose plant. Sol, though, countered it with a shining wizard, kind of. And then she went for a springboard. Bayley, though, caught her in another rose plant. And Bayley made a cover. But she pulled her legs back so far, it gave Sol enough room to get her foot on the ropes. So her being close to the ropes is what saved the match for her on that rose plant. So Ruca then ended up hitting the Soul Snatcher. You can't showcase this woman on a show like this and not have her use the Soul Snatcher, right? It's one of the best finishes. I understand, like in a lot of situations, yes, it does look very contrived. But even still, it is one of the best, coolest looking finishers in all of WWE. Anybody watching Soul Ruca hit that move for the first time, especially like even a non-wrestling fan, they see her hit that move, instant fan. So, of course, she was going to use it here. So she hits it, and Bayley is like, she's kind of sitting up like she's stunned, and then she slowly falls down, but it looks like she's almost trying to roll out of the ring. And Soul grabs her, and she's trying to drag her to the center of the ring, and it's taking too long. And as she drags her in, I guess Bayley was playing possum because she yanked Soul in for a roll-up, but then Ruca reversed it into a roll-up of her own, and she got the flash pin to win the match. So then after the match, Zari is all happy. She gets into the ring to celebrate with Soul. Lyra is comforting Bayley. Not sure what she's going to do here, but she walks over and she shakes hands with Soul. Bayley had all four women hold up their arms together and they all saluted in tribute to John Cena. So this was fun. It was the right decision. It was the right decision, and I even said in my predictions, I said of all of the WWE against NXT matches, I had Soul Ruca coming out of this with the win. I just didn't see Oba Femi getting a clean win over the WWE champion, and I didn't see it going the way of the NXT guys in the tag match, but you can't have a show like this and not put someone over from NXT. You have to. Someone's got to get a win. By process of elimination, that someone seemed to be Soul Ruca. So that's exactly what happened here. She's another one like Oba, who I think would really be a very productive addition to that SmackDown Women's. That SmackDown Women's division right now is just, dude, it's on life support. Like, it is on life support. Okay, you see the little thing flickering. It's got a pulse, not a very strong one. It needs help. The show is going to 3 hours in a few weeks. You're going to have to call up more people than just Lash Legend from NXT. Soul Ruca. Maybe even Soul Ruca and Zarya together. Fatal Influence. Jordan Grace. What's she been doing? Not much of anything lately. She's been losing a lot. These are people that would not only benefit from being called up and having new people to work with, but boy, that SmackDown Women's division, that SmackDown show could really use people like that. So Soul, Oba, these are all faces that hopefully we'll see up on Raw and SmackDown in the new year. And then Bayley, I don't know. There was no indication that she was going to snap or anything like that. I guess we'll find out on Monday, what her reaction is to this loss. But what we got here from these two was good. It was for Soul Ruca, it was a very basic showcase. But I thought what they did is what they needed to do. Now, after this, they showed a bunch of other dignitaries that were at the show, including Rob Van Dam. Actually, it was a video with comments from Rob Van Dam, Sheamus, Corey Graves, Becky Lynch, Michael Hayes, Stu the cameraman, Michael Cole, Cody Rhodes, The Undertaker, and The Rock, who dropped the video on social media earlier today. Didn't talk about John Cena's soul. He just put him over and talked about all their great times together, all their matches together. Michelle McCool, Mark Henry, and Rob Van Dam were then shown live in the crowd. RVD's always over. RVD did the whole RVD, and everybody, all 19,000 people in Washington, D.C., did it right along with him. It's good to see he was actually able to move around and stuff. I mean, I know he broke both of his heels earlier this year. And so he was basically incapacitated there for a while. And I don't think he's wrestled since. I think he broke them. I think he was in, was it like a battle royal in MLW? Maybe like a battle riot or something. I don't know what it was, but seems to be healing okay. So that's good to see. They also showed Sami Zayn. He was right there in the front row with his son. So that was cool. And then they cut to the announcers at ringside. And it was Michael Cole and Wade Barrett on commentary. And Michael Cole said he wanted to give a shout out to all of the announcers that he has had the privilege of working with over the years and calling all of these John Cena matches with, including Taz, who, of course, along with Michael Cole, called John Cena's very first match on SmackDown back in 2002. Michael Cole and Taz, one of the better commentary duos that company has ever had. They're not going to be at the top of anybody's list probably, but they were a very good team there for a while. So he shouted him out. He shouted out JBL, who he said coined the phrase Big Match John, Corey Graves, Jim Ross, and Jerry the King Lawler. Shout out, by the way, to the 2,800 people hanging with us here tonight, talking about Saturday night's main event. Get those messages on in. I'm going to be reading them here in just a little bit. If you have questions, comments, or anything else. Yes, did somebody say Soul? Soul Ruca is okay, but let's not talk about souls around the rock. I miss when wrestling commentary was loose like Taz used to be. Are you saying Taz was loose? I don't know. Maybe you know more about his background than I do. I thought he was a good announcer. I don't know. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to, but I know when Brock Lesnar used to come out, right? He had that signature, here comes the pain, right? Taz had his little things, right? In TNA, it was like, let them puppies loose, or let them pigeons loose. Was it pigeons with the beautiful people? Same thing, I guess. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, they are the World Tag Team Champions. This was not a title match, but they were in action next. This was a completely randomly announced match on Monday, but I was okay with it because this was a match I was very much looking forward to seeing. It was AJ and Dragon Lee against Javon Evans and the TNA X Division champion, Leon Slater. Evans got a good reaction coming out. Less so for Leon, but it's understandable. I mean, there were a lot of people in that building who probably just didn't know who he was. If they're not watching TNA, if they're not watching NXT, then, you know, what do you expect? I mean, you gotta give people some background on this guy. It's not like he was on Raw and SmackDown in the lead up to this match. So he got a respectful, but not, I wouldn't say, terribly strong reaction. But this was good exposure for him. It was good exposure for TNA. They acknowledged TNA. He had his X Division title with him. Evans and Slater, they didn't waste any time. They wrestled this match like they just got told, hey, your time got cut. That's what this felt like. Like, hey, we better get off to the races right out of the gate. And they super kicked Lee and Styles out to the floor right away. Javon did a dive out onto AJ. Leon did a dive out over the ring, a twisting dive out over the ring post onto Dragon Lee. This was all in the first 30 seconds of the match. Evans and Slater, they isolated Dragon in their corner, tagged in and tagged out. They were delivering some splashes and kicks and forearms. And Dragon Lee managed to kick his way free. He pulled the top rope down to send Javon out to the floor. Slater came in. He tried a clothesline, but somehow Lee countered and worked into a sit-out powerbomb. Evans and Styles, they made tags. AJ hit a leaping forearm and a neck breaker. Styles then went outside. Evans followed with a moonsault, but nobody was home. And Dragon Lee hit a flying Rana on Slater. That sent him into the waiting arms of AJ Styles, and the fans really got excited here because they thought AJ was going to give this guy a Styles clash on the floor. And meanwhile, before he could do it, he turned around and he ate the foot of Javon Evans, who caught him with a super kick right to the face. So back in the ring, Evans hit a massive OG cutter from, 12 feet in the air, followed by a Swanton 450 from Slater. Slater went for the pin. Dragon Lee broke it up. We got "This is awesome" chants here from the crowd. Lee hit a big dive out onto Evans, while Slater set up AJ in the ring. Styles, though, reversed it. And he tried to go for a Styles clash. Slater worked out of it. It led to AJ, though, setting up for a phenomenal forearm on the apron. And unfortunately, this doesn't happen very often with AJ Styles, but he went for a phenomenal forearm and he slipped. He slipped and he fell off the top rope. And I was like, this is not the night that, AJ wants something like that to happen here, man. But I have to give credit to Leon Slater because he improvised very quickly. He improvised into a quick pin attempt, only got a 2 count. Slater went up top. Styles ended up catching him into a Styles clash, and that was all she wrote. You could tell AJ Styles was pissed. He was probably fuming on the inside. He was barely like holding it together and trying not to show how angry he was just facially, but you could tell he was annoyed. But I'm sure on the inside he was fuming, especially as angry as I know he gets like playing video games, like when he's losing. Like I remember some of those old videos on Up, Up, Down, Down. They were playing like Madden or something. And if he was losing, man, he's a sore loser. Like he gets angry. So I'm sure like in the course of a match, something doesn't go right. It's John Cena's last night. This is a big spotlight, right? A big showcase here, and he fucks up. Yeah, I mean, I would be upset too. But you know what? Kudos to Slater though for the quick recovery. Try to make it look like maybe it was intentional and maybe it was part of the match. I'm sure it's one of those moments where AJ is just like looking at that going, man, see, this is why. This is why I'm winding things down next year. The young guys were moving a million miles an hour because they were just a ball of energy out there. I'm sure they were very excited. But I do wonder if maybe they had their time cut. Again, this was not a long match. I don't even think it went a full 10 minutes. So you try to fit in a lot of stuff in a relatively short period of time. And then you end up with a match like this, where it's just moving at a very quick pace. You know, it's not like, okay, we got 20 minutes so we can pace ourselves and we can work a body part. That's not what this match was about. These guys are a bundle of energy. This is what makes them fun to watch. That's what you had on display here. For what we got, I thought it was good. The finish, I mean, forget the slip by AJ. The finish, it kind of felt sudden. Again, short. Like, man, we could have taken this another 3 or 4 minutes. So the finish was a little anticlimactic, I'm not going to lie. But overall, I like the match. And for Leon Slater, big spot for him to get. He's still under contract at TNA. So, you know, that's where he will be. He's their champion. But you got to think in his future, probably an NXT contract. Javon Evans, sky's the limit. He's still very young. He still has to, like physically, he still has to fill out, you know? I mean, he's 21 years old. Both these guys. I said the other night, if you add up the ages of both Javon Evans and Leon Slater, AJ Styles is still older. So, like, they're very young. I don't know how old Dragon Lee is, but, like, they're very young. But they both have bright futures ahead of them. So after this, we had another tribute video here with comments from various people. Kane, R-Truth, The Miz, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Alexa Bliss, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, Xavier Woods. All thank John Cena in video messages. They came back from break. We had some long breaks in between the matches. I would rather keep them in between the matches than have them during the matches, which is the beauty of this no longer airing on NBC. Fuck NBC. These shows were a lot more tolerable this way with the commercials in between. But they are very long. But we had Joe Tessitore up at the hosting position, not with Jesse Ventura. He was with Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon is someone who played a very important role in John Cena's career. John Cena is not where he is now, were it not for Stephanie McMahon. If it wasn't for Stephanie McMahon, hearing him rap on the back of the bus on that European tour, John Cena would not be where he is right now. John Cena would very likely not be doing Hollywood movies right now. John Cena very likely is not Peacemaker right now. That's how important a decision that was, to give him the chance to go on TV and do what he was doing on the back of that bus. So she's going into the Hall of Fame next year. If John Cena were to be inducted into the Hall of Fame next year, and I'm thinking now he may not be, because, boy, this would have been an appropriate night to make that announcement. For a minute there at the very end, I thought Triple H was going to point to like a Hall of Fame, announcement up on the Tron. I thought that's what he was doing at the end of the show. I figure if he's going in next year, tonight would be a nice night to surprise him, with that announcement. But, surprise. Like, you got to clear it with his people first and make sure he could actually do the fucking show. As busy as he is, maybe he can't do it. But I'm just saying, like, Stephanie, if he was to go in any other year, Stephanie is probably someone I would have on the short list, honestly, of people who can induct him into the Hall of Fame. I mean, she wouldn't be my top choice. I think Kurt Angle would be a better person for that, but very important part of his career. So anyway, they cut to her and Joe at the host position, and she's talking, but you can see in the background in the ring, somebody is standing in the ring, and then they interrupt Stephanie in mid-sentence, and it's The Miz. The Miz has been complaining on television for weeks now that he wanted to wrestle John Cena. He beat John Cena at WrestleMania in the main event once upon a time. Yes, which is true, by the way. One of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time. So he's rehashing a lot of the same stuff in the ring. Apparently, he was wearing the same ring jacket that he wore, he said, out to the WrestleMania 27 main event. So he's complaining about being left out of the show. This brings out R-Truth, who comes running down to the ring. And he said that, you know, you stole someone's opportunity when you were playing with Nick Aldis's balls. Yeah, from the Tumblr. And he presents him with a ball with someone's name in it. And the Miz opens the ball and he looks at the name and he's like, Joe Hendry. He said his name. So they play his music, and guess who shows up? He's right there on the apron. Joe fucking Hendry. No longer a TNA star, by the way. He is all in with WWE. He is an official WWE contracted performer. And he's on the apron. This was a nice surprise. Joe Hendry never got the match that he wanted with John Cena. Remember, he was trying to will this match into existence at the beginning of the year. He was on Busted Open Radio, openly like lobbying for this match. And John Cena, he says at the Rumble, because they were both there, he said John Cena told him, dude, if you want the match, you've got to manufacture it, man. You've got to will it into existence. If you can make it happen, we'll do it. And he never got his match, but at least he got a spot on the show, right? At least he was able to do something as part of John Cena's final show. So he shows up, and Hendry ends up taking out the Miz, lays him out with his, oh gosh, what does he call his finish again? The happy ending or standing ovation? That would be a great name for a finish. That's what I'd call my finish. Whatever, the standing O. He puts the Miz down with the standing O. And him and Truth also did a 5-knuckle shuffle in tribute to John Cena. And then he waved when they played his music again, and the fans in the crowd were waving. And we got the zoom in from the camera, the hard cam, on Joe Hendry and R-Truth. So, you know, whatever. This was just, it was some filler in between the matches. And this was fine. I was happy that Joe Hendry was able to get a spot on the show. But then after this, it all came down to the main event. And this right here is what this entire show was all about. This entire show was built around John Cena's final match. The reason you had 19,000 plus people in Washington, D.C. tonight was for this match right here. Gunther comes out. He's got his boxing robe on. He makes his way down to the ring. Everyone's booing him, right? He's just the quintessential like movie villain here as we get ready for the big hero to make his entrance. And he actually steps out of the ring when John Cena is about to make his entrance. Out of respect, he's going to give the ring to Cena, so he exits. And they milk this forever. Before they play Cena's music, they're panning the crowd. I was honestly expecting it to be a little bit louder. I mean, I think the people were just like waiting for the music to hit. So they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting, and then the lights go out. And then they hit Cena's music, and then he gets the monstrous reaction. And the trumpets or the horns, they start playing, and out comes John Cena from the entranceway. And he's just taking it all in. He's getting, of course, the monster pop that you would expect. And he's looking at Stu, the cameraman. He takes the camera from Stu, and he kind of, you know, pans around with the camera for a little bit and gives it back to Stu. And he's like, all right, here we go. You ready for one last run? And it's a very narrow aisleway, too. There wasn't a lot of room to maneuver. I kind of like it, actually, when they bring it in a little bit more. It's the way it used to be. Fans can reach out. They can touch the people. Well, maybe these days that's a bad idea. But anyway, he goes running down to the ring, and the fans were cheering so loudly and for so long. They actually looped his music twice, because what happened was he got into the ring and he's posing, and then he sees a bunch of people sitting in the front row. So he goes outside and he's either shaking hands or hugging Trish Stratus, Eve Torres. I saw fucking Haku is there. Fucking Meng is in the crowd. Kevin Owens was there. Sami Zayn was there. They weren't sitting next to each other, but Owens, by the way, is going to be one of the coaches on the new season of LFG. Apparently, Kevin Owens and Natalya have replaced, I think they've replaced Undertaker and Michelle McCool. Undertaker co-hosts a podcast. It's the Michelle McCool podcast starring Mark Calloway. So they have that gig going, but apparently they're not going to be on LFG anymore. So who else was in the front row? Booker T was there. Nick Khan was there. So just a bunch of people. Oh, Elias was there. I guess now he's Elijah in TNA. Yes, don't forget Elias. I know. Cena worked with him at WrestleMania 35. They didn't do a match. They did a segment. I was there. I know. I remember it. He came out as the Doctor of Thugonomics. So yes, Elias was there as well. So Lillian Garcia was able to get the privilege here of doing the final ring introduction here for John Cena. She introduces Gunther. Everybody boos. She goes through the whole announcement here for John Cena, the final announcement. And then it was time for the final match. And John Cena's final match begins with a collar and elbow tie-up into a stalemate. Gunther had asshole chants that were directed at him, followed by fuck you Gunther chants multiple times throughout this match, which were censored by Peacock, so that kind of sucked. And then the chops began. Now he's getting you tapped out chants. And I'm like, you tapped out chants? Like, are they still talking about WrestleMania? And then Michael Cole says, oh, and getting the you tapped out chants for tapping out to Jey Uso at WrestleMania. I go, man, this guy's never going to live this down, is he? Tapping out to Jey Uso is going to haunt this man until the day that he retires. So Gunther hit a hard Irish whip into the corner. And at this point, he's just toying with Cena. He's basically having his way with him. Cena, though, catches a chop that Gunther throws at him, and he starts his comeback. We got the shoulder tackle. We got a second one. He drops Gunther. Here comes the you can't see me. Hits the 5-knuckle shuffle. I'm like, man, we're going straight to Final Jeopardy here. We're not wasting any time. So here comes the attitude adjustment. Gunther easily slips out, and he counters into a German suplex, and off the ropes with a hard clothesline, takes down Cena. So now he locks in the sleeper hold. Cena, though, quickly counters out of it into the STFU, and he's got it applied in the center of the ring. Gunther, though, is inching closer to the ropes. Cena goes to drag him back to the center. Gunther, though, kicks him away, and then he gets up and he hits a shotgun drop kick. And Gunther drops him then with a power bomb. So he tells the referee, Chad Patton, ask him if he gives up. So then we get more fuck you Gunther chants. He drops Cena with another vicious clothesline. And again, he goes over to the referee. He goes, ask him if he gives up. And then another clothesline. And he says, ask him if he gives up. And I go, when did this turn into an I Quit match? What are we doing here? After every clothesline, he's asking the referee to ask Cena if he gives up. The only thing that would have been worse than what they did here at the end of this match is actually having John Cena go ahead and give up on one of these clotheslines. That would have been incredible. John Cena's like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't need this shit anymore. I'm the peacemaker, damn it. I give up. And just roll out of the ring and just get in his car and drive off. That's the only finish that would have been worse than the one they did here at the end of this show. But this is where it started to get repetitive because he got up, another clothesline. He got up, another clothesline. There were like 5 or 6 of them here. So then there was another clothesline. And he says, ask him. So now we got chance of Super Cena. Cena ducks another clothesline attempt, hits back-to-back shoulder tackles, and again he drops Gunther. And here we go again. You can't see me. 5-knuckle shuffle. We're already repeating spots that happened only 5 minutes earlier here in this match. So we go through the whole sequence all over again. And this time, the attitude adjustment connects. And he covers for the win, but Gunther kicks out at 2. So now Cena is looking for another attitude adjustment. Gunther, though, slips out, and he delivers a hard chop right to the back of the neck. And now he's got Cena down on the mat in the sleeper hold, and he's got the body scissors applied. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. He's got the body scissors. Cena, though, gets out of it. He gets his own sleeper applied. And down on the mat, he's got the body scissors, just like Jey Uso did to him at WrestleMania. But Gunther, he's got those long legs, so he's able to get a rope break out of it. Gunther rolls out to the floor, and Cena follows him out, but he eats a chop. And then he takes a back suplex on the apron. Gunther just picks him up and dumps him on the apron. Gunther sends him into the ring steps, right? He goes careening into the steps. So now Gunther rolls back into the ring. He exits on the opposite side of the ring, over on the announcer side. And he grabs those steps, and he drags them over next to the announce desk. By this point, Cena has basically kind of crawled his way over. So now he's on that same side. And Gunther climbs up on top of the ring steps. He's looking out to the crowd. He's basically like, up yours. So he climbs back down the stairs. He drags Cena over to the steps, and he clears off the announce desk. So we're going to get one last announce table bump for John Cena here before he rides off into the sunset. Gunther is setting up like he's going to powerbomb him from the ring steps through the desk. He never even really gets him in position, though, for the powerbomb before Cena hoists him up onto his shoulders. And John Cena delivers an attitude adjustment to Gunther through the announce desk, and the desk collapses. So that was the big table bump here in this match. Cena puts Gunther back in the ring after a bit. He covers him. Gunther kicks out. So then Cena heads up top. He hits the top rope leg drop. I guess that would be considered the vintage Cena, right? As Michael Cole would say, right? Old school Cena. So he hits the leg slice right across the neck. He covers. Gunther kicks out. So that got him chance of, you still got it. So Cena looks out to the crowd and he asks the crowd, do you have one more left in you? One more, you can't see me. He goes, this is going to be the last one. So the crowd, they wait for it and they wait for it. And they do it one last time. He does the you can't see me. Cena hits the ropes, though, but Gunther, when he hits the ropes, Gunther springs right back up to his feet, and he drops him with a big boot. Picks him right up, hits a power bomb with the stack. Got to get the stack. Cena kicks out. So Gunther heads up top. He's going for that splash. Cena, though, cuts him off with an uppercut. Cena climbs to the middle rope, and he gets Gunther on his shoulders. And he looks out at the crowd, and he smirks. And he hits an avalanche attitude adjustment, or as Michael Cole said, avalanche FU. Drops Gunther all the way down. He covers. Gunther kicks out. And the people can't believe it. So now, both men get back up. And we get the yay-boo exchange here between them. Cena, with an uppercut, drops Gunther to his knees. But he fires right back. Cena gets him up for another AA. Gunther, though, counters out into a power bomb. And now Gunther is headed back up. And he hits the big splash. And I will say, there's one thing I have criticized recently as far as Gunther goes. I'm a big Gunther fan, but his splashes more often than not look like shit. Like his knees end up hitting the mat before his body does. This one was maybe the best splash I've seen him hit. Like he just came crashing down on Cena with all of his body weight. So he hits the splash. Cena kicks out. So the crowd is trying to will Cena back up with Super Cena chants, which would have been unheard of, by the way. 15 years. Can you imagine these fucking fans 15 years ago, like when Cena was burying the Nexus? Can you imagine the fans chanting for Super Cena back then? Like, you just wouldn't have heard it. But now they're willing Super Cena. They want to wake up Super Cena and see him one more time. So Gunther again gets the sleeper applied. Cena, though, he's still standing. He's standing, but he's fading. Now he's down to one knee, but he powers back up. He breaks the hold, or he's in the process of breaking the hold. But nope, Gunther gets it back applied, and now he's got Cena down on the mat. But Cena's back to his knees now. Now he's back to his feet. He powers out. But again, Gunther gets the sleeper applied. Back down to the mat they go. But nope, Cena's back up to his feet again. And so now Gunther jumps on Cena's back. So he's got all of his weight now on his back. Cena drives Gunther backwards, though, into the corner to break the hold. But then Gunther reapplies it again. Back down to the mat they go. Things are looking very bleak. So he fights back to his feet again. Again, Cena falls backwards into the corner to break the hold. And then he scoops up Gunther on his shoulders. He delivers another attitude adjustment. Gunther kicks out. And not only does Gunther kick out, but almost immediately after he kicks out, he sits up and grabs Cena from behind and puts him back in the sleeper hold. You have 19,000 fans in this building who were chanting, "Don't give up. Don't give up," at John Cena. Cena looks like he's out. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to go with the finish where he passed out, right? Which I think Goldberg tapped out. Did Goldberg tap out to him or Goldberg won? I think Goldberg tapped out to him. But I'm thinking, okay, it's basically, this all over again. He's going to pass out and they're going to give the win to Gunther. And I'm kind of, resigned to it. The referee picks up Cena's arm and his arm drops once. And then instead of calling for the bell, he goes to pick up his arm again. Now, that's the way it used to be done all the time. Like back in the Hogan era, right? You pick the arm up once, it drops. You pick the arm up twice, and then the third time, the arm is still up. And again, I feel like ever since we kind of went into this reality era, and ever since like tap outs became a thing, and you had more of like an MMA influence on pro wrestling, you don't do that. Right? Because in a fight, if somebody went out, first of all, you probably wouldn't be picking their fucking arm up anyway. But you would pick up their arm. If their arm went down, that's it. They're out cold, right? You got to call it off. They don't really do it this way anymore. So I thought it was a little strange that they kind of reverted back to the old school way of doing this. So the arm drops once. Referee says, "1. We got another one to come." He picks up Cena's arm again. Cena's arm goes limp. He picks up the arm for a third time, and John Cena gives the okay sign, right? Hopefully that's all it is. But now Gunther starts raining the anvil, elbows down, elbow after elbow after elbow, down onto Cena. And again, he goes right back to the sleeper hold. And at this point, John Cena is not going out. John Cena is sitting there, and he's got a look on his face like, you know what? I can't wait to get back to my hotel room tonight. I'm going to have myself a nice hamburger when I get back to my room. Boy, I can't wait. Now, he's looking out to the crowd at somebody. Again, maybe it was his wife. I don't know. Or just his friends and family. And he looks at peace with himself. He smiles. And he goes like this. And he just like the most half-hearted tap out that you will ever see. After all the years that John Cena said, never give up, right? And he never tapped out to anybody. The day finally comes that this man taps out. And this is what he does with a smile on his face. After telling people to never give up, it looked like he had no interest in even fighting it anymore. He was just like, yeah, okay, I'm done. And how do you expect people to not be underwhelmed by that finish? You actually think that that's an acceptable finish to this man's fucking career? Like, I'm blown away by that. Like, people don't understand why other people would be upset. Not even necessarily about the fact that Cena lost in his final match, which you would almost expect, but the way in which he lost. How can anybody be okay with that? How can anybody look at that and go, man, that was the perfect finish? Man, what a storybook ending finish for this guy. That was a completely horrid way for this match to end. That was a terrible finish. But they got the moment they wanted because you know what? They cut to the crowd and everybody had a shocked expression on their face. And that's why they did it. They wanted their Undertaker moment from WrestleMania 30. And that's what they got. This was the closest that we have ever gotten, okay, since WrestleMania 30 to any kind of crowd reaction like this. I'm trying to think, like even SummerSlam that year, when Brock squashed Cena, it was kind of similar, but not quite on that level, right? People were shocked by Cena being thoroughly destroyed by Brock Lesnar. And at the time, it was like such a novel thing, like, holy shit, I can't believe what we just saw. Like, that was actually a great match. And then they tried to replicate it this year, and of course, it was shit. But as far as the finish here, people were stunned. They were wide-eyed. They cut to kids, little kids in the crowd, like tears welling up in their eyes. They can't believe what they've just seen. It's like fucking, Doomsday killing Batman. Or Superman, not Batman. I got my characters mixed up. But you know what I mean. I mean, that's basically what this was here. And Gunther is like, oh, he tapped out. I win. And they raised his hand, and he was out of the ring, very quickly after that. But immediately the crowd, they go from utter shock to just disgust and anger very quickly. And when Cena sits up and the camera zoomed in on his face, you hear the chants of bullshit rain out throughout the Capital One Arena. And Cena had a look on his face like, oh, come on. Like, give me a break. Like, you weren't expecting chants like this. It's the first thing he should have expected. What else did you expect? The chants of bullshit rain down upon John Cena, rain down upon the ring. Gunther, I think by this point, was already gone. And Cena is standing in the ring. He's thanking everyone. He's saying, that's all I got. That's all I got. Here comes Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Stephanie McMahon and Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and The Undertaker and Bruce Pritchard and all the producers and the rest of the roster. And as soon as people saw Triple H coming down to the ring, it all became about him. Because now we have fuck Triple H. You can hear somebody in the crowd, at least one guy, fuck Triple H. And then, of course, you fucked up. You fucked up. Just raining down upon these men. And Triple H, of course, has a big smile on his face because I'm sure he finds this all very hilarious. Cody and Punk get in the ring, and they present their championship belts ceremoniously to John Cena for him to have one on each shoulder. Cena's like trying to refuse it. They're like, no. So they give him their championships, and they retreat to the corner, and we have a shot of John Cena, the World Heavyweight Championship on one shoulder, the WWE Championship on the other. And the fans are respectfully cheering for Cena, but they're still not happy. I mean, they are smarting over the decision to end this match the way that they did. So Cena's playing to the crowd. He goes, I'm waiting for it, right? Because Triple H is in one of the corners. He's on the apron, right? And Cena's playing to the crowd in one corner with the belts, and they cheer. And then he plays to the other corner, and they cheer. And then he turns around, and he sees Triple H in the other corner. And he walks over. And as soon as the crowd realizes he's going over to Triple H's corner, the boos rain down upon them. And Triple H got a big smile on his face. He finds this so fucking funny. And they're just booing the shit out of him. Deservedly so. Because he had the opportunity to put together a finish here. One of two finishes. John Cena wins after the battle of a lifetime here, where Gunther beat this man within an inch of his fucking life, but he pulls it out in the end, like Rocky in one of those dramatic fights in the movies, right? And John Cena gets to go out. He may be beaten and battered, but he gets to go out on top. He gets to go out a winner, right? After losing many matches. It's not like he went undefeated on this tour. It's not like Tony Khan keeping Sting undefeated his entire career in AEW. He won some, he lost some. But he gets to go out a winner, and you give the fans that happy moment as he rides off into the sunset because he did the one thing that he promised you that he would never do. He never gave up, right? You could have done that. Perfect world, you would have done that. I understand it, though. I understand Gunther winning. Look, I'm a Gunther fan. And I understand that tomorrow morning, John Cena is going to be somewhere else, and Gunther is going to still be working in WWE. And Gunther is probably going to be wrestling Brock Lesnar, if I had to venture a guess, at WrestleMania. So now you can do the battle of the two men who beat John Cena on his way out, right? I guess that'll be the story. So I don't have an issue with that so much. But if you do it, you got to have John Cena stay true to his convictions. He is trying everything to get out of this sleeper hold. And Gunther is relentless. He keeps reapplying it. He's got the body scissors. They're in the middle of the ring. There's nowhere for John Cena to go. He's tried everything with this man, and it does not work. And the fans are saying, please don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. And you know when John Cena, when the arm was dropping and he flashed the OK sign and everybody cheered, you know what? That would have been an appropriate finish. If he would have flashed that sign and then he would have went limp. And the referee would have called the match off. And the fans would have been upset, but I don't think they would have been as upset as they were. That's the thing. It's the way in which they did the finish that I think just did such a disservice to Cena and that character and everything that it represented for so many years. And by the way, this goes for John Cena if it was his idea. You know, maybe it was Triple H's idea. Maybe it was John Cena's idea. So good for him if it was. He got to go out the way that he wanted, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was still the right way to go out. That was the right way maybe in his mind for him to go out, but there's a lot of people out there who are going to look at that and go, man, that is not the way that John Cena should have gone out. John Cena should go out fighting until the very end. And that little weak tap out and that resigned smile on his face where it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go like this. This is how I'm going to end it. I'll just give it to the guy. I'm not really struggling. It almost looked like he could get out of the hold at any moment if he wanted to, but it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm done. I'm done here. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm out of my mind, but I just thought that finish was lame as shit. I really did. But then Triple H is like, look up. It's not Batman, but there's a screen. Right? Not even like the Titantron or anything. One of the arena screens. And he points Cena's attention up to the screen. This is where I thought maybe they were going to have some sort of like Hall of Fame video announcement. And instead it was a very well produced, very nice video that was recapping Cena's career. It had comments from his mother, his parents, his contemporaries. And you had John Cena in picture while he was watching the video. And his expression never really changed, but you could tell he was very emotional. Cena is usually an android robot. Okay, he doesn't really show emotion. In this case, his eyes were getting all glassy and he was actually, like, your career's over, dude. Like, it's okay for you to show a little bit of actual human emotion here. And he was. So it was a very nice video. They actually included, it was an old interview, but they actually included a clip of Vince McMahon making comments about John Cena. So I guess he made the show after all. So when it was over, Cena, I thought we were going to get a speech. Even if just a few comments. Even Goldberg got to make some comments before they fucking cut him off on NBC. Everyone was like, oh, I'll bet John Cena gets all the time in the world for a retirement speech. Didn't give Goldberg anything. He didn't even make a speech. He looked like he couldn't wait to get out of there. But before he left, he went ahead and he stepped out of his sneakers. So we saw the You Can't See Me socks that he was wearing, which I'm sure are on sale right now at WWEshop.com. Stepped out of his sneakers. He laid his wristbands on the mat next to them. He left the ring. He didn't interact with anybody. He just walked right past all the wrestlers and everybody around the ring, and he went right down the aisle. He stopped when he got to the entranceway, and he looks up, and they have a camera now that's above the entranceway, so he's just looking up into the camera, and then he's looking around, the entire building. He turns around, he takes a bow, one final bow, and he salutes, and he says, "It's been a pleasure serving you all these years. Thank you." And at that point, he turns around and he leaves. And that was it. They faded out. And that was the end of the presentation. And so ends the career of John Cena. The fans were clearly not very happy about how things went down there at the end. The match itself, they had a good match. It was not the best John Cena match of this year. It was not the best Gunther match of this year. There was, you had the dramatic near falls that you would have expected. The match in many spots was more repetitive than I would have liked. But I thought they basically had the match I figured they were going to have, more or less. So it'll be a matter of taste. Again, some people, they just don't like Gunther matches, and they don't like him as John Cena's final opponent. I feel like he was the perfect final opponent for him. I didn't have an issue with that. So the finish doesn't mar the rest of the match. I'm not saying the entire thing was terrible. The whole thing was garbage. It wasn't. It was a good match that, in my opinion, was just, it had the wrong finish. And you only get one shot at it because it's the guy's retirement match. You don't get a redo on this. Like, I take him at his word when he says that I'm done. I'm never coming back to the ring. I cannot go back on my word. You had one shot at this. Just like you had one shot at a retirement tour. Triple H had, remember WWE Unreal at the beginning of the year? Season 2 is coming, by the way, next month. What episode was it? Episode 4? Whichever one was about the Cena heel turn. Pretty sure it was episode 4. I think episode 3 was like Chelsea Green and the women. But when they covered John Cena's heel turn, there was a clip from one of the shows of Cena and maybe it was Elimination Chamber. Cena and Triple H at ringside hours before the show. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something like, boy, and maybe it was about the retirement tour itself. So maybe it was earlier than the Chamber. But boy, we'd really have to fuck this up to mess up this retirement tour, right? That's what Triple H said to Cena. And Cena's like, well, or Triple H is like, well, hey, it could happen. It could happen. Oh, it kind of happened. Not completely, but, it kind of happened. There are ebbs and flows to this retirement tour. For every great moment like the one we had with Punk and Cena in the Elimination Chamber, for the heel turn itself, which in a vacuum, if you just look at the heel turn in Toronto on its own, it's one of the greatest heel turns in the history of wrestling. When you take context into account and what followed, it is one of the worst heel turns in the history of wrestling. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about how that's possible. How can you have one of the best heel turns in wrestling history also be one of the worst heel turns in wrestling history? Oh, it happened. That's the John Cena heel turn in a nutshell. But for all the good stuff we got, we had one of the worst WrestleMania main events or main event endings you'll ever see. We had an ill-conceived heel turn for which there was no real long-term plan for it. It was about the moments. It was about going viral. It was about creating a buzz. It was about selling more tickets so we could advertise The Rock for the Elimination Chamber. These are the things that happened. These are the decisions that were made along the way that really marred parts of John Cena's retirement tour. When this whole thing should have been mapped out from day one. This is the most important person in this company, maybe one of the most important people in the history of this company. We're going to take great pains to make sure that we storyboard the fucking shit out of this and we map out every single fucking thing that we are going to do with this guy so that we could give him the best possible send-off that we possibly can. That should have been the idea behind it. I'm not saying that there aren't times where it's okay to pivot and go this way instead of that way, but when you're just constantly pivoting along the way, that's what happens. That's what you end up with. Once they turn Cena back babyface, right? We got a lot of good moments out of that. We got some good matches. We got some good moments. So it wasn't all bad. But I was really hoping coming into this that it's about how you start and how you end. If you start hot and you finish hot, you know what? I think people will be more forgiving. And it started off pretty good, although people will be upset that Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble and not John Cena. But honestly, that was one of the better Rumbles they've done in many years. So they started off well enough. And I was hoping that they would close strong. And they really didn't. I think they made the wrong decision tonight. And so sure, Gunther is going to now come out and gloat about the fact that he's the first man in 20 years. Of course, they'll say the first man ever, which is not true. But the first man in 20 years to make John Cena tap out and to make John Cena give up. And that's going to be his new gimmick now. But honestly, does it really, had Gunther not done that, right? Had he won in any other way, does it really make a difference? He still gets to go out there and say that I'm the man who retired John Cena. You know what I mean? Like, you still could have given the fans a better ending and kept Gunther looking strong. You could have had your cake and eat it too. You could have had it both ways. And they just decided, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do it our way. We're going to say, fuck you, and you're going to like it. Because that's the way it's done. So it made for a shitty ending to the show. Everything just felt off. After that finish, the way Cena was acting in the ring, the crowd reaction, everything was off. Everything was off. You couldn't really enjoy the moment. And it was very curious not having him, or him making the decision himself, I guess, not to address the audience. Like, if I had paid a lot of money to go to this show, I would be very upset over that finish. Right? Finish being the way the show ended. To get that finish and then not even have Cena address the crowd and just leave and walk out was very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. But of course, it doesn't take away from his overall body of work and all of the great things that he did in his career. And I know a lot of the people watching this right now probably became wrestling fans during the era that John Cena was on top, or you grew up with John Cena. He was your guy. And so it's a big deal to you, the fact that he's no longer going to be an active wrestler. And, you know, maybe you were crying your little eyes out tonight or whatever. And that's fine. You know, that's fine. I'm sure tonight was a very emotional thing for a lot of fans. But I still say that the finish left a lot to be desired. Let's just say that. Let's take a look at what the poll results say. What did you think of Saturday night's main event and John Cena's final match? 59% thumbs up for tonight's show, 41% thumbs down. So very split, more positive than negative, but a very split poll results so far. And we are approaching 3,000 votes in the poll. Again, you know, sometimes you just got to do what's right for the crowd, for the moment. And they dropped the ball tonight. They really did. They dropped the ball with it. I'll debate anybody on that. Oh, man. But hey, Gunther now gets to go around to be the destroyer, right? He's going to end a whole bunch of careers. There's probably 2 or 3 different people who are going to have their retirement matches in 2026. He may end up beating all of them, which makes it awfully predictable, doesn't it? If he ends up wrestling AJ Styles or Chris Jericho, we kind of already know how it's going to go. Gunther the Destroyer. Be like Conan the Barbarian. It's going to be Gunther next year.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Oh my goodness.
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Very appropriate that we would see Gunther since he was victorious in the main event and made John Cena tap out. Have to get at least one Gunther here on the stream tonight. I don't know, man. I just don't know. We talk about long-term booking. We talk about, that kind of stuff all the time. But at the same time, we have so many stories and feuds that are dragged out for so long. And we justify it by saying the ends will justify the means. Right? When we get to the climax and the payoff, like, man, it's going to be so worth it. It's going to all make sense. It's going to be great. You got to go through some pain, right, to get to that point. And that isn't always the case, right? Not everything is always going to end the way Cody and Roman did at WrestleMania 40. There are a lot of things that we have seen here in this Triple H administration that end up being ice cold and end up falling flat. And we don't quite get the ending that we were hoping for. Sometimes you have to give people the moment that they are looking for. As long as you're not, really crippling the other guy. And Gunther was going to be fine no matter what happened in this match. But you got to give people, when you have a special night like this, you got to give people, that moment. You got to give people that ending, that satisfying conclusion, because this is it. This is the end of the road. How do you drop the ball on that? How do you fuck that up? Yeah, just let it play out. Yeah, the classic let it play out, because that always works out so well. Let it play out. I just don't understand it. Amazing. Glizzy Bob. We'll start with Glizzy. Talking about Drew McIntyre. Says Drew's character has become such a crybaby loser that I don't even want to see him win the belt anymore. Sad that it got to this point. Hey, you know what? Drew McIntyre is another example of this. LA Knight. I mean, we'll see what happens, but LA Knight may end up being another example. It's like, oh, no, we got big plans for all these guys. You just got to let it play out. You just got to let it play out. Man, this is going to be the greatest payoff in wrestling history when we get all these great payoffs for LA Knight and Drew McIntyre and this guy and that guy. Man, I can't wait. Renzo says, Cody, why so serious, Rhodes? Base Beerus just says, boo. See, they were chanting boo earns, boo earns. That's what they were chanting at the end of the show. Venom Kitetsu says, enjoy the ride. Shut your mouth and enjoy the ride that The Rock is taking you on. Wink the Cosmic Grandma says, why, bro? Just why? I don't know, man. I don't know, but you're going to have people defending it until their dying breath. They'll call it cinema. That's the word they love to use for this stuff. It's cinema. The Winston Slip. So, what's your favorite kind of soup? Chicken noodle. By far. Base Beer says, Triple H, you effed up. Holiday 197. Says, hey, Solo. Gunther gave Cena a good retirement match until that ending. Way to tarnish Cena's legacy by making him tap out and give up. If it was Cena's idea, then I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he's just mentally checked out anyway. He knows he's done and he doesn't care. You want me to tap out to this guy? Fine, I'll tap out to this guy. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Don't worry, everybody, though. It's cinema. It's cinema. Nick K says, you know, call me dramatic or whatever you want. I need to take a long break from WWE. Between his bad Cena's retirement run has been, and now having Gunther do this, it has soured me on Gunther. Well, I mean, there's no reason to be sour on Gunther. He didn't do anything wrong. If anything, I mean, the fact that they fucking did that finish they did tonight, I sure as fuck hope that they have Gunther in the strongest possible position they can put him in going forward. I mean, he better be the real final boss. Can't squander this. It's like when Brock broke the streak in 2014. A lot of people disagreed with that decision, but it's like, well, you had Brock break the streak. You better make sure that you keep him as strong as you possibly can, because he's the guy that broke the Undertaker streak. You better not squander that. John Stitch says, Triple H is so fucked. No matter what going forward, he will always be remembered for this John Cena retirement tour.
Off is a direction you can fuck.
That's the message to Triple H. Could not have timed that any better. Alex says, this was awful. Says, everything Triple H touches turns into a hot pile of garbage. He had a nice run as Booker last year, but enough is enough. Tub Thumper with a Canadian 10 says, I know this makes me a bad person, but on such a historic night, did we really need to see that disgusting old crone Vince McMahon on our screens? It was brief. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. At least they didn't roll his corpse out there in front of the crowd. Psycho Jet Black. As soon as I saw The Miz, I knew this would annoy Solomonster. I actually didn't mind that segment. I did not mind that segment because it was relatively brief. It got Joe Hendry a cameo. People had fun with it, so I was okay with it. It says, but seriously, thank you, John Cena, for all the good and the bad. We will never forget you. Thank you, Psycho. Alexander says Gunther needed to leave Cena Cena's body lifeless in the ring for the finish. Not that anticlimactic finish we just got. But still, all hail Gunther. Thank you, Alexander. Psycho says, just realized Solomonster kind of looks like Miz. I don't know how to feel about this. Although Miz got himself Maurice, so I don't know, maybe there's hope for me yet. The Winston Slip, Solomonster is way more handsome than Cube Head Miz. Cube Head Miz? Does he have a cube head? I don't know about that. Johnny Burney says John Cena retires and at last Bruce Blitz can finally be at peace with his life. Oh my God. There's a name I haven't heard in years. Is he still around? I honestly don't know. I always know he was John Cena's biggest fan. I'm sure he's doing some celebrating tonight wherever he is. Holiday 197 says this contends as the most botched retirement run. Cena had some good matches, but there was little build in half of those matches. The Cena heel turn was ruined, and now the ending of his final match, he deserved a lot better. Yeah, I mean, there were mistakes made during this run. I think that's safe to say. We got Sanders with the $9.99 says Soul getting a roll-up win after her finish bothered me. Ultimately, it was fine, but it's just a micro example of WWE not wanting to truly beat anyone. Soul beating Bayley right after would have been fine. Yeah, I mean, we do get a lot of roll-ups in this company. I'm just happy we got the right result in that match. Soul Ruca winning was the right idea. It was the right outcome. Glizzy Bob says Triple H did not understand the assignment tonight. Any sane man could have seen that finish wasn't going to get over well with that crowd. The boos were deserved. Oh, he deserved every single bit of it. Yes, I agree 100%. He deserved every bit of that reaction that he got, but it's sad that John Cena was the one who retired. So Cena was out there, and they weren't booing Cena, but the boos were raining down nonetheless. And so when your final match ends with chants of bullshit, you know you fucked up. Blue Blart says, are you laundering money? For Joseph's theory. Joseph is a big fan of the show. Come on, Blue. I see him supporting more than you. I'm not going to put down Joseph. Joseph's a good dude. Sent a message yesterday saying many blessings for the weekend to come. I hope wherever he is, he's having a great night. Hopefully he's not too dejected after the way that John Cena went out tonight. Curtis Talley says, legendary Solomon. Well, I think I made my point very clear. I think I made my my thoughts on this pretty clear for everybody tonight. Venom Kitetsu with a 25. Created Johnny Carson on WrestleMania 2000. Says, any suggestions for his finisher? Also, congrats on 2 back-to-back Friday the 13th, February and March. Extra Jason celebrations for 2026. You made Johnny Carson in WrestleMania 2000? Yeah, I think you should give him the Soul Snatcher as his finish. I want to see Johnny Carson pull that off. The Sheriff of Patties, Cena went out like a legend should. I hope future greats take note. Go out like Cena, not like Flair. Love the channel. Can't wait for the RSPW drop. Yep, it'll be ready in time for the holidays coming up. I'm trying to add some Cena posts, actually. I went out to go find some John Cena related posts, and I will tell you that the ones that I found are not very complimentary. This is from like the early days of Cena. So that'll be in the next installment of RSPW Rewind, which should be up in the next couple of weeks for all of you. Duff's Vids from the $9.99. If fans were truly mad and smart, the crowd would have chanted, "You can't book," to Triple H. Thank you, Cena. Or they would have gone with everyone's favorite insult. They would have chanted, "Bald fraud." I saw him. He was on the pre-show. They had him on the pre-show set with the fans behind him. And I don't know what this was about, but there was somebody on their phone. They held up their phone, and like in big letters, it just said water. Just said water. And then everybody started chanting H2O, H2O. I mean, you would think they were in the desert and they were dying out there. I don't know why they were chanting for water. Danimal. The worst part of this is that this is all anyone will be talking about when it comes to John Cena's final match. Bingo. You're 100% right. And that's a shame. William Lopez, this is sad how Cena's going to be remembered. Cena's real retirement match was against AJ Styles, and I will stand by that. I'm okay with that. If we all remember the Crown Jewel match as Cena's true retirement match, I think that that would be perfectly fine. Hashtag bald fraud. Oh, Triple H's water spit routine? Is that okay? Is that why they were chanting water? I'll bet they're chanting something else at him right now. Randall the Sandal Vandal with a $9.99. Hall of Fame headliner for next year. What are we thinking? I mean, I would have been thinking John Cena. I guess it comes down to his schedule, though. I don't think Batista has still gotten his actual induction yet either. Duff's Vids, who knew Brock watched NXT? Ricky Saints in the background on TV. Lakers Pats, disappointed that Cena did not lay down the jorts also. Well, I don't think we needed to see that. He can take them off in the back. Max says, technically speaking, what was the strongest and weakest parts of Cena's career? I'm going to get into a lot of that tomorrow. There's going to be a big Cena retrospective on the podcast tomorrow. I'm going to have a lot more to say, not just about tonight, but just his career overall, his legacy. I'm going to go through every match on this retirement tour. And I'm going to give you what I believe to be his 15 best matches. I have ranked the 15 best matches of John Cena's career. It's been a while since I've done a countdown. You're going to get one on the podcast tomorrow, so you're going to get all things John Cena. Defined Real says, as many times as we wanted Triple H to stop playing it safe, he picked Cena's retirement to do it. It's true.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Oh, it's not Richie Rich. It's M. Mills with the $100 bomb.
It's a bomb. You bald fraud.
M. Mills, thank you very, very much. I love seeing those red bombs. M. Mills is now officially part of our bomb squad. That's what I'm calling you guys from now on. Drop some of those bombs on me. You're going to be part of the official Sound Off Bomb Squad. M. Mills, I got your uniform waiting for you. You got a spiffy badge and everything. Thank you. No message, too. Just showing love. Duff's Vid says, first Vince and now Triple H made the crowd silent. Got to get those viral moments. Yeah, I did notice that. Who mentioned that in the chat? GQ, yeah. When Cena took the camera away from Stu, the beginning of his entrance, and Cena put Stu on camera, they cut away. So we barely got a shot of Stu. They cut away from Stu. I don't know why they did that. Alexander says Cena, by tapping out, basically said, F them kids. Yeah, which is what he said during the heel turn. I thought they had realized their mistake, but evidently not. I guess Triple H was all upset and pissy over the fact that people poo-pooed his big heel turn, so he had one last fuck you to everybody in the end. This journey called life. Cena smiled right before tapping out. He chose that. You mean he chose the finish? I wouldn't be surprised if he did. It doesn't mean it was a good finish. If he got the finish that he wanted, you know what? I'm happy for you, bro. I'm happy for you. But I thought it was a bad finish. I thought it was a bad call. Holiday says, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the fans who bought Cena's Never Give Up merch decide to get rid of them. Why hold on to it with this ending? It's like those fans threw their money down the drain. Yeah, I mean, think of all the shirts he sold over the years. They're going to start burning John Cena shirts. It's like when a player, gets traded to another team. You have their jersey, right? And they burn their jersey. It's like you're dead to me. Javier says, as a fan since 2003, thanks for the memories, Cena. Evan Rogers says, who cares beyond this? No megastars, no draws, lame finish. This isn't Ric Flair. I'm sorry, I love you. This is released and written off TV garbage. It's true. Who is that next megastar? Javier says, I actually liked the match and the finish. Z-Ray with the 10 says, honestly, if it ended with John Cena passing out with the 2 arm drops, it would have been so much better than him tapping out. I mean, I prefer he didn't lose, but even if he does, do it correctly. We got Rebo M. Blader. Loved the match, did not like the finish. Overall, good show, though. I think that about sums it up. Ragnarok, they did the fans and Cena a disservice by sticking to a number of appearances instead of a final date. He couldn't properly promote a few of his matches. Yeah, he wasn't around to do anything with AJ on TV before their match. Same thing with Gunther. There was at least one more. Yeah, it just, I mean, that's a whole other thing. Moore says, this is real. Fans are chanting AEW at the presser. Are they? I'll have to check that out after. Did they send Triple H out there with the crowd behind him? Because that would have been ballsy of them if they did that. I need to know what they were chanting behind Triple H if they sent him out there. Aaron Ruggiero with a 1999. Man, that was deflating. I understand losing on the way out, but this just wasn't the night for that. Imagine the post-match if he actually won. Should have been a Sting Revolution-esque moment. Triple H deserved the backlash 100%. Yeah. Yeah, he did. Hey, Warhawk Rambo, what's going on, man? Devin from NJ, they already did so much damage to Cena's character this year. Having him give up in his final match was just the cherry on top of this shit Sunday. Well, hey, guys, I just realized something. You know, we could have had it worse. We could have had Jey Uso win the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. And we could have had Jey Uso do to John Cena what he did to Gunther at WrestleMania and tap him out in the middle of the ring. So it could always be worse. Scumdogs. Ooh, Asuka's very angry tonight. Asuka is not happy about that finish. Scumdog says, I'm just glad Travis Scott did not cost Cena the match. Oh, man. The moldy cheeseburger. I bet Chris Jericho is having second thoughts about going back to WWE now. This journey called life, this isn't worse than Undertaker losing to Brock. No, it's not. I agree. That was worse. LJ Jr., Cena should have smiled, held the 3 fingers up, and faded out. There it is, man. That to me would have been a more acceptable finish and a more appropriate one that would play off of the mantra that he lived by for the last 20 plus years. Says, yes, he loses, but he never gives up. Never giving up was the entire purpose. Yeah, and he betrayed that purpose. Project Graham. Tony Khan showed fans the right way to send off a legend with Sting's last match. Cena should have gotten the same treatment. Kind of shameful, really. Boris with a $10. My boys were so disappointed. First the dumb heel turn, and now this trash of an ending. Triple H deserved all of the chance he got coming out. Fans definitely deserve better. Still, thank you, Cena. Duff's Vids, what did the ancient Roman time traveler say when he got to the year 3000? MMM. Psycho Jet Black. Do you do the Oba Femi dance in private? I do it every day. Generally speaking, when I walk into like a supermarket or if I walk into like a Walgreens or something, I do the Oba Femi dance. Alexander says, Oba Femi gives me Ahmed Johnson energy. I would be greatly offended if I was compared to Ahmed Johnson. I certainly hope he has a better career than Ahmed Johnson had. Oba Femi has more talent in his pinky finger than Ahmed Johnson had. Sean Kavanaugh, isn't it time Gunther got a better finish? His sleeper is anticlimactic and just kills the place. I think you could take a move like the sleeper hold and get it over, and I think he's done that, actually. I mean, the sleeper hold was one of those classic finishing maneuvers. I can't say it was just a heel finish. I mean, even Brutus Beefcake uses a finish. And when Beefcake would put the sleeper hold on, people went nuts for it, as a babyface. I don't have an issue with using a sleeper hold as a finish. I think that they have done a good job of getting that over as a hold for him. I see what you're saying. It's not like a flashy move or anything like that. I also think it's smart because as you age and you get older, and Gunther is no, young man by wrestling standards anymore. I mean, he's getting up there. He's getting close to 40. I think it's smart to have a move that you can apply on anybody at any time. Gunther could be wrestling at 50 years old. He could be in there with somebody twice his size. He could put them in a sleeper hold. Even Hogan used to say, like, man, I wish I would have just gone with like a fucking clothesline as my finish, Would have saved my back from all those back surgeries. I think that, you have a lot of younger guys in wrestling right now. And I understand the desire to do something really flashy and cool and some big dive or whatever. But man, as you get older and you evolve, they should start thinking about like finishing maneuvers that they can put on anybody at any time. Because if they want to wrestle for another 15, 20 years, you want to be using something that's easy to do. John says, favorite Cena promo package. I personally liked Cena Bray Wyatt WrestleMania 30 Legacy. by Eminem. There's a lot of great wrestling video packages. The Austin Rock one, My Way, the Monster one for Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30, Running Up That Hill by Placebo for Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, WrestleMania 26. I don't know that I have a favorite John Cena one, though. I mean, there was I think, the one they used for Cena, Triple H, and Randy Orton at WrestleMania 24, I think that one was pretty good, but yeah, beyond that, I'm kind of drawing a blank. I don't think I have a favorite Cena video package. Somebody in the chat mentioned Femi is more like a young Bobby Lashley and test hybrid. Bobby Lashley apparently is injured. So saith MVP on Collision earlier tonight. I don't know what the nature of the injury is, but apparently Bobby Lashley is injured, so he will not be in the Dynamite Diamond Dozen Battle Royal, or whatever it is, Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal this week, but Shelton Benjamin will be. Duff's Vid says, what noise does James Bond's doorbell make? Dong. Ding dong. Very nice. Paul Carpenter, rest in peace, Peter Green, Zed from Pulp Fiction. Great actor. I saw that story. Yeah, unfortunately, Zed's dead. They say it was natural causes, but I guess they'll do an autopsy and figure out what happened. He was supposed to go in for some kind of surgery, I think on a benign tumor. And I think the day of is when they found him in his apartment. And he wasn't that old. Maybe he was 60, 61. If you don't know who he was like the villain guy from the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey. Case for those few of you who never saw Pulp Fiction. Glizzy Bob. The pop Kevin Owens got when they showed him in the audience hugging Cena was awesome. Do you think they would have had one more match if KO did not get hurt? Absolutely. Absolutely. We got John Cena and Sami Zayn. We definitely would have had John Cena and Kevin Owens. And it would have been great. The Horrorist. We may never know whose idea that finish was. If it was 100% Cena's idea, would that change your opinion at all? It would not change my opinion in the least. Not one iota. Nick says, this is what I mean when I say I can't fucking stand Gunther and his fans. The guy is the longest Intercontinental Champion, 2-time World Champion, King of the Ring. But he still needs more to make him. Yeah, it's like John Cena talked about Brock Lesnar when he was on Chris Van Vliet's podcast last week. And he was asked about the WrestlePalooza match, right? Or he brought it up. And he was like, well, the idea was we got to make Brock. And I'm already on my way out. So, like, how can we use me? We got to make Brock. I'm like, make Brock? The fuck are you talking about? I didn't know we needed to be made. Make Brock. One of the funniest fucking things I've heard all year. Dried Chicken says, I'm pretty sure The Rock is smiling right now after Triple H came out. Oh, I'm sure, like deep down, I'm sure he got a kick out of that. I'm sure he enjoyed that somewhere deep within. There's a part of him that was laughing. That guy, Matt. Now WWE can finally sell to Saudi Arabia. Nah, that's about 5 or 6 years away. Give it time. It'll happen, but not anytime soon. George Mazer with the $4.99. What's going on, George? Cool necklace. Oh, thank you. Cena smiling during the tap out makes me think it may have been his decision. Again, it's entirely possible that Cena came to them with that idea. Or at the very least, obviously he was okay with it. And maybe that was his little spin on it. But to me, it did not come off very well. Maybe the idea that he had in mind for it, if it was his idea, maybe it sounded good in his head, but in execution, I just thought it came off very poorly. And I don't remember offhand. I don't remember exactly where I got it from, but if I remember, I'll post up something about it, or leave a comment. If I can find where I got it from, I'll post a response. That guy Nick Rubio, Triple H for worst Booker of the Year. Jackson. Man, they did this for WWE Unreal. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe we'll find out, right? If this is on Unreal Season 3. Maybe we'll get our answer then. Glizzy Bob says, reminder that Triple H is the worst booker ever. No, he is not the worst booker ever. Let's not get carried away here. Duff's Vid says, what does a barber serve in the winter? Cold cuts. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Evan Rogers says, who cares about the WWE beyond this? No draws, no stars, no respect for the stories. Toya Ain't Nice says, how would a happy ending be applied? Well, I mean, you know, I haven't figured that part out yet, but there's a way. It might not be very PG, but there is a way. I like how Toya hasn't let this idea go. What about this happy ending finish? Duff's Vid says, what did Dad say when he got a universal remote? This changes everything. Is that dad joke? Austin Blansett, not having Randy Orton present was a decision. I think he might be over in Saudi. Wasn't he doing press over in Saudi Arabia for the Royal Rumble? He's really taking this vacation very seriously. We haven't seen him in months. Willie Billy. Glad we got some Taz talk tonight. He always cracked me up with that fake whoa whenever someone's pyro went off. It was like muscle memory for him. I enjoyed Taz on SmackDown. That guy, or even when he was doing commentary in TNA. That guy Matt says, I feel Undertaker one day is going to have a couple of shots of Jack, look at McCool and be like, you know, you really helped screw up my reputation. And then the fans will chant at him, bring back Matt. Bring back Matt. You just can't let that go. Every time we post a new podcast, look at the comments. Bring back Matt. Actually, this super chat comes from that guy Matt. I think we just figured out who that guy Matt is. I think I just realized why that guy Matt just sent that super chat in. Matt, is that you? It's okay. Your secret is safe with us. There's only 2,600 people in here. Don't worry. Your secret is safe. No one will know. I just looked at his name. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Bryant Becerra, no message, just dropping a $50 super chat. You know what? It's not red. It's magenta, but you're welcome into the bomb squad. Bryant and Michelle are the members of our bomb squad here tonight. I love it. JDF VA, thank you very much. Jacob Chelsea with the $10. Post-match was almost as bad as the finish. Crowd was still in shocked silence when Gunther's hand was raised. Then out comes Hunter, booed out of the building. Felt like the heat was on management. Yeah, I mean, the heat was not on Cena. And it wasn't even so much on Gunther. It was on Triple H. It was on the company. It was on the company for, you know, charging them an arm and a leg for the right to come to this show and then get pissed on at the very end. It's like, here, we're going to charge you $1,000 for your ticket, and then we're going to take a fucking dump on your head at the end. Thanks. I'd be pissed if I was there. Rob Pyers, that was a Netflix WWE Unreal ending. Best for business, pal. Says Triple H, I guess. Keelsey, admiration from Greece. Please stay legendary. Keelsey, thank you. Is it Kelsey or Keelsey? I think it's Kelsey, actually. I think I just said it wrong. You know, Greece is one of those places. It's on my list of places I'd like to visit one day. I hear the beaches over there are really nice. And the women. Juan Ocampo, is Cena the last true draw in WWE before TKO? When did TKO officially? TKO didn't really take over until the fall of 23, right? That's when the deal closed. I would say yes. Cody was already pretty well established by that point. Roman had already had the majority of his run. So I think we still have yet to have that one true like TKO era draw in this company. Maybe that'll be Braun Breaker. Maybe that could be an Oba Femi one day, or a Jacob Fatu or someone like that. The Uffman says, so Lesnar destroyed Cena at WrestlePalooza because... Why exactly? Well, because we had to put Lesnar over, because we had to keep him looking strong. We had to get him over. Come on, Uffman. Pay attention. We got to get the guy over. I mean, what's not to understand? He wasn't strong enough. People had forgotten. Hey, ADTR, what's going on, man? Thank you for that 5. Namo says Triple H is not a good booker, or not a great booker. He books for the moments. He's got a very particular way that he books. I wouldn't say it's great, but I also wouldn't call him the worst booker of all time. Like, that's just hyperbole. We got Holy Shit Wrestling, buy or sell, Seinfeld finale or Cena finale. Oh, man. You really put me on the spot here with this one. You're really putting me on the spot here with this one. I'm going to go Seinfeld finale. I'm buying on that. Believe it or not. That was much better than the Cena finale. Stephen J. Neptune, man. Best Cena moment. Announcing Bin Laden's death. Well, we can now say that John Cena's career, with that finish tonight, has been compromised to a permanent end. Anderson Blitz says, and just like that, a piece of my childhood came to an end. Hashtag thank you, Cena. Thank you, Anderson. Evan Rogers, they think people are going to care about Saudi wrestling entertainment after this crap. No respect for the character or the crowd. Cena announced it like he took out Bin Laden himself. Maybe he did. Maybe he snuck in. Put a SEAL Team 6 uniform on him. I mean, he was the Marine, so I mean, you know, he does have some of that combat experience. Jonathan says, I agree. It was an underwhelming finish. Thank you, Jonathan. Arabian Night 2000. Finish of this and the retirement run in general was ruined by Triple H. In my opinion, he's lost the fans' trust. I hope it reflects in 2026 and affects business. Change is needed. Well, as long as people are buying up those tickets at those prices and putting money in their pockets, I mean, nothing is really going to change. I certainly hope we get the change that we need on Friday nights when they expand the show to 3 hours in a few weeks. Where that show's going to go from bad to worse real quick. That's the change I'm hoping we get in the short term. Jeremy Rose with the $22 rock drop. Triple H hasn't had a solid, complete storyline since Bloodline, and that's debatable. Seriously, this guy seems to be bulletproof because there's a portion of the fans that keep shelling out exorbitant amounts of money to this company. Yeah, I mean, as long as that continues, there's really no incentive for them to change. Like, I'm watching SmackDown last night and the Aleister Black, Damian Priest stuff, right? And that's just one example. And I'm like, man, this has been going on for a while now. And I said, like, we're months into this. I still cannot understand how we went from having a last man standing match at the beginning of the feud to where we are now. And I'm like, these two guys are in no better of a position now than they were 3 or 4 or 5 months ago. Like, it hasn't done either one of them a lick of good. Paul Carpenter, seriously, can Triple H redeem himself, and how? Yeah, he can produce, better television and give us interesting, entertaining television shows. And he can fix the fucking roster on Fridays. He can start there. That would be a good start. Hank says Ric Flair's Old Yeller story was way better. Actually, that segment was a great segment with him and Shawn Michaels. That was a great promo. We got Kerber Bing Rigsy. So relieving to know that Solomonster feels the same way about that finish. Just trying to understand the logic into what message they wanted to send with that. Well, I'm going to venture a guess. I'm going to venture a guess, and I'm going to say that the idea behind it was Cena came to the realization that nothing he was doing was working, and he knew he was fading, and he accepted his fate. It's like somebody who trips and falls and looks up and there's a moving train coming towards them, and they just sort of accept their fate. So he was at peace with himself and his career, and he smiled, and he looked out into the fans or his wife or whoever he was looking at. But that would be one thing if he faded. But he didn't fade. He tapped in the most anticlimactic way possible. But I assume the idea was simply that he accepted his fate. I'm sorry, that's not a good enough story to tell with that finish. It doesn't justify the finish that they did. It does not make for good television. It does not make for a good storybook ending. It just doesn't. M. Mills, again, I salute you. I give you a Cena salute for that $100 bomb. Thank you very much. Donovan Payne. Hey, Solo, what do you think would have been the best time period for a Lesnar versus Batista match to take place? Well, Lesnar was already gone, right? Early 2004. Batista really wasn't all that big of a deal yet at that point. So I'm trying to think, because Batista left in 2010. Brock came back in 2012. I just don't think there was really a good time to do the match where both men would have been at their peak. I mean, Batista came back in 2014. I would not say Batista was still at his peak in 2014, but I guess that would have been it. I mean, Brock was around. Yeah, but the thing is, though, like 2014 is where he broke the streak and then he squashed Cena. So it's like all of that happened in the time period where Batista came back. There was no way Batista was going to go in there and have a competitive match with Brock when they were in the process of building him up as an unstoppable monster. So to answer your question, I don't think there really was a prime period to get it done. I think that the timing just never worked out. This Gaming Dragon says, how can anyone think WWE is better than AEW after all of this? At the very least, they know how to book a retirement match. That they do. I will give them credit for that. They know how to book a retirement match and treat their legends the way they should be treated. Although that doesn't mean that every legend needs to win their retirement match. But I just think that in this case, they did wrong by Cena. Give me Backshots Solomonster with $1.99. Braun's great. However, Oba is better than Braun overall easily. I'm not going to argue. I like them both. I think that Braun is clearly the one that they have chosen to really build things around. But I think Oba is great. I think Oba checks all the boxes. I mean, he's got all the tools. He's more physically impressive than Braun Breaker is. You know, I mean, if there's one thing that he really has over Braun, that's it. Like, that's the main, that's not it. I don't mean that it's the only thing, but like, that's the main attribute. You know, physically, he's far more imposing and intimidating and threatening than Braun Breaker is. Matthew Amendola. Right choice. Shout out my boy Gene Funnings. Thank you, Matthew. Zombified guitarist. I really hoped he made it part of the heel turn there at the very end. LOL. He went back to being a heel. In his last moment, he just wanted to defy everybody and say, fuck it, I'm going back to being a heel. Warhawk Rambo, do you think H-Man is an overrated booker? I think by some people, yeah, he is overrated. I think some people worship at the altar a little too much. That's what I think. Ricardo De Jesus. The ending of this match made me appreciate Sting's retirement match more. Say what you will about Tony's booking, but the way that was handled, especially with Sting winning, was just perfect. Yeah, and Sting wanted to lose. And Tony stepped in and said, this is the way it's going to be. This is for the better. This is the right thing to do. And he put his foot down. He said, no, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to tell this story. And it was the right choice. Jeremy says, if we assume that whoever gets to 18 is currently in WWE, who would you predict? Personally, I don't think anyone will, especially with everyone getting 200+ day reigns. Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing. Everyone has these long championship reigns now. So the closest person who is still active, who would be closest to Cena in terms of world title reigns on the men's side, it would have to be Randy Orton. So Randy Orton, how many does Randy Orton have? He have 14? I'm pretty sure Randy Orton has 14. 13 or 14. I get him and Triple H confused. Maybe it's 13. I don't see Randy Orton getting there. After Randy, who would it be? I don't even know who the next person would be. I agree. I don't think anybody's hitting 18. I can't say ever, but I don't think anybody's hitting 18. Put it that way. I know Cena's made comments about, I want to, shake the hand of the person who hits 18. I think Cena's going to be old and gray if that day ever comes. Charlotte probably will. I guess if you want to count the women's championship, then I guess Cena will probably be shaking Charlotte Flair's hand at some point. But on the men's side, I just don't see who it would be. Frode 79. First, the disrespect to Nimmo. Then Alonzo goes to Birdland. And now this deflated balloon of a finish. Diaz never wanted to stay here, so F him and Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's worse, the state of the New York Mets or the finish that we got in the match tonight. Jeremy Rose says, if Cena lied about never giving up, then what makes us believe that he was truthful about never coming back? So he's just a liar? Is that his new mantra? Just make shit up? just betray everything about the character. Remember when he went heel, we had people making illustrations about the Make-A-Wish, the Break-A-Wish. Just give up. That was the new slogan, just give up. Sol Ruca's Beaver. With a $2 super chat. All I gotta say is, what in the everlasting fuck? That's what I said when I saw that name. Alex from Phoenix. JD mistakenly called Gunther Gooner. Pro-indigenous. It's like when Goku gave up at the Cell games. Out of character for the sake of a plot point. Ah, yes, of course. Of course, Goku. How could I forget? I know I'm out of the loop on this. Venom Kitetsu tweeted you a Carson 450 splash. I'll have to check that out after. Although my poor mentions, I don't know if I'm going to be able to cycle through all the responses. Cameron Spencer, I want to see Omos against Oba at Mania. Give me the pros and cons of that match. And are you down for that? I mean, the biggest con I could see is that I would not be debuting Oba on the main roster, and the first feud I put him in is against a guy who's even bigger than him. The whole point of Oba is that he's bigger than most people on the main roster. He just looks intimidating, right? It's part of his persona. It's part of that aura I was talking about. You kill that aura dead the minute you put him in the ring against somebody who's bigger than him. Why would you do that? I'm all for coming up with something for Omos to do as like a character on the show. But I would not be doing that match at WrestleMania. Oba and Drew, I could get behind that. Oba and Omos, no, I would not be doing that match. This Gaming Dragon, perfect promo. Bragging rights Cena versus Orton, 2009. I don't remember that video. I have to go back and watch that one. Bobby means there will never be another John Cena. And as far as who will buy WWE in the coming years, I don't think it will be the Saudis. You don't think there won't be any Saudi money involved in that transaction? ADTR says, been watching the 6-man Hell in a Cell match from Armageddon 2000 on the Vault. Do you think we'll see another multi-man Hell in a Cell in the future? I hope not. I mean, not a 6-man. That to me, it's too much. I could see it like a triple threat. Beyond that, I don't really see it happening. I think they save Hell in a Cell for, like they did with Punk and Drew. They save it for when there's an appropriate time to bust it out. And that would probably be for a singles match, but triple threat it at most. I don't think we get a fatal 4-way or a 6-way or anything like that. Glizzy Bob, TKO is to blame for this. I just can't prove it yet. Well, you just got to keep looking for the evidence to support your theory. The Ice Dance. TV matches on a pay-per-view. 15 minutes of commercials between matches. Dead finishes. Boring creative. Self-aggrandizing and no speech. Offensive to fans. Technically, it's not a pay-per-view. If you want to be technical about it. You're not wrong on all the other things. Retro KOH. People who think Triple H is the worst have no clue who Jim Herd was. The kids have no idea. Ah, yes. Pizza Hut Jim Herd. William Sweeney, have Cena do what he said he wouldn't and quit. Yeah, that's what they did. I don't know if you're asking a question or making a statement. That's what he did. Gold Matthew, biggest missed opportunity is having heel Cena versus Punk in either Chicago or Boston. I mean, dude, it was right there for Chicago. That's where I thought it was going to be done. Wasn't Money in the Bank in Chicago? Or no, maybe that was LA. I think that was in LA. But yeah, I mean, Chicago would have been a great place to do it. Also, I would have booked heel Cena as a heel reflection of Cody. Linkmaster X, we can fix this. Cena number 30 and wins the Rumble. Keep dreaming. Keep fighting the good fight. Linkmaster X. Reconsun with 49 months of channel membership says from Judgment Day 05 to WrestleMania 23 to 25, once in a lifetime, to his final match in Florida It's been surreal knowing I got to see his whole career live and now it is over. Thank you, Cena. So you were at Once in a Lifetime too, huh? We may have been sitting next to each other. Of course, Once in a Lifetime ended up being a lie. But at the time, it sounded great. Thank you, Rican Son. We got Sema J P514. I understand the finish. It was definitely tongue-in-cheek. Oh, well, that's great. So we got a tongue-in-cheek finish to John Cena's final match. Great. SMG Kobe. Watch with friends who aren't wrestling fans, and the finish made them not want to watch WWE at all. This wasn't about Gunther. Fans wanted Cena. Yeah, it's not. Look, they didn't create a single new fan with that match. Maybe that wasn't their intent, but the way they were promoting this match, and you had all of these mainstream interviews with Cena and on ESPN and all these different places and the morning shows on the major news networks, the major news shows, they didn't make a single new fan with that main event tonight. So I would imagine those casual observers probably were not very happy with what they saw. Linkmaster says Ram Jam had a better last match. I think Randy the Ram had a better last match, and he probably fucking died at the end of it. We don't know for sure, but it seems like he did. Venom Katetsu says John Cena retired, but not Juan Cena. Loophole. Interesting. You know, they did buy AAA, so imagine if Juan Cena pops up in AAA to fight off El Grande Americano. We have Warm Corn. Warm Corn with a $2 super chat. Gunther needs the rub. Barbecue? Cajun? Dry? Which rub? Might be that happy ending finish that people were talking about. We got Yanko Rigsy. What's just as infuriating is knowing when Cena eventually gets asked about that finish in interviews, he'll spin some philosophical non-answer. Oh, yes, he will, as only John Cena can. You know, I feel like if you were to ask John Cena, like, what's your favorite food? Simple question, right? Like, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite food that you like to eat? And he would just come back at you with some kind of answer like, oh, you know, all food is good and nutritious. And, you know, some big, like you said, philosophical type of answer where he doesn't really answer the question. But he just wants to not offend anybody and just answer in the most vague way possible. Arabian Night, Y2J saw it tonight and is like, nope. Tony Khan will treat me better. I mean, the reality is Tony Khan will treat him better. Probably pay him a lot more. We've got Jeremy Rose. Speaking of that 6-man Hell in a Cell, the total entrances were 6.5 minutes. Today, everyone takes 5 minutes each. Jay gets 15. Oh, forget about it. If you had a 6-man Hell in a Cell match today, the entrances alone would be 20 minutes. Warhawk Rambo, as bad as Triple H is as a booker, Vic Venom and Herd are both worse. I swear, kids these days. Linkmaster, they even booed Triple H when he appeared in the video. Yeah, I did notice that. They booed him more than they booed Vince. What does that tell you? Warm Corn says, Jim Herd, what did he hear? It's a good question. I think he heard he was going to be fired. Glizzy Bob, did you see the report that WWE was confused by the response to LA Knight getting destroyed by the Vision on Monday night? They are so tone deaf. Now, I mean, the idea behind the report is that they don't understand why people would be so upset when they have these big grand plans for LA Knight. Time will tell. It's not that people are just upset over what happened on Monday night. It's been many, many months that people online have been like, what about LA Knight? What's going to be, when is LA Knight going to get his chance to shine? Because he was being fed constantly to the Vision all summer long. I mean, this is not like a one night thing. So people are very upset about the way he's been booked. And the company's like, oh, I can't understand why people would be so upset about the way LA Knight was being booked on Monday night. He's in for a big push in 2026. I vividly remember tweets going around at the beginning of 2025 saying that Finn Balor was in store for a major singles push this year. I'm still waiting on that major singles push for Finn Balor. Duff's Vids with 10 months of membership. Can you name 2 structures that water? Well, damn. Retro says, buy or sell on which is worse, Gunther tapping out Cena or Brock beating Undertaker at WrestleMania? Brock beating Undertaker at WrestleMania. Arabian Night, if anything, they drove fans away and AEW gained a few. I don't know if AEW gained a few. They may have gained a few, but I don't think it's AEW gained a few more than just they may have just driven some fans away. That I can believe. Linkmaster Alex Riley is laughing right now. Navy 4181, is Triple H the only one to not lose a final WWE match? No. Undertaker's last match was the Boneyard match, right? Against AJ Styles, and he won that one. And he beat John Cena in an actual match at WrestleMania 34. I don't know what the official last match of Bret Hart would have been, but I mean, he won the U.S. title the last time he had a run. He beat The Miz. I thought it wasn't his last match, but no, Triple H is not the only one to not lose his final match. And Duff's Vids, can you name 2 structures that hold water? Well, damn. Didn't I just read that one? Oh, he sent it as a member chat and a super chat. He was so impressed by this joke, he had to say it twice. We got KCU Unfiltered, 32 months of channel membership. What is next for Gunther? I do believe it will be Brock Lesnar. That would be my best guess. Although Gunther and Obo would be pretty cool, but it just feels like that's a little too soon to jump into that. We got Sean D, 32 months of membership. The way I see it, this has been the year of Cena going back on his word. First with the heel turn, now with the tapping out. So the legacy he leaves behind is that he's a liar and a hypocrite. Is that what I'm getting out of this? It's a hell of a legacy to leave behind. Linkmaster says, the icy blue shirt is a nice touch. That's from 3 days ago. Why am I reading that now? I'm not wearing an icy blue shirt. I wore that on Wednesday. All right, I think I finally got through all of your messages, and there were many of them, which I love. I fucking love it. Well, you guys killed it on the likes. We are well over 1,000 likes, and you hit the bonus goal, which is still going up and away as more messages come in. Jonathan with $2. He donated $2 to get buried by Triple H. Look at this. Would Gunther Brock be heel against heel? I don't think that if they did the match, it would end up being booked that way. I think one of them would have to be a babyface, and it would probably be Brock. I think if it was going to be one of them, it would be Lesnar. I don't think they would book it as heel against heel. but I do think there's a very good chance we're going to get it. I don't think that it would make no sense for me, to me, for it to be Gunther, because you just had Gunther beat John Cena in the most heelish way possible. So then you're going to turn him babyface? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Brock would actually have to be the babyface in that situation. Thank you, Zachary. All right, it's time to be some be some Booker. No, it's called Be the Booker. Why did I say be some Booker? I'm the Booker. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now
I don't even know what I'm
time
saying.
to be the Booker.
The Souza says, as a bald man, the FU baldy chants at Triple H offend me. Leave the I think it's follically challenged is what you meant to say. Leave the follically challenged alone. It's all right. We love the we love, I can't even speak. We love the follically challenged here on the Sound Off. It's all good. All right, so this is where we have some fun here. Can I book a better card than Triple H did tonight? I think the answer is yes. Can I book a better finish than Triple H did tonight? Absolutely. I won't let you down. Case in point, we're kicking things off with Sting and the Great Muta. There's a badass team. Grandpa Sting and Grandpa Muta. Still badass. Look at that team. I'm very, that image you just saw, by the way, I was at that show. So that's the last time I got to see Sting live in person. It may have been the only time. No, that's not true. I went to WrestleMania 31. What the fuck am I saying? But that was definitely the last time I ever saw Sting live. And I got to see him and the Great Muta make an appearance on that show. That was a Grand Slam over at Arthur Ashe Stadium a few years ago. They're going to be, oh, for God's sake. Why? It was a gimme. It was a slam dunk. Sting and Muta against Headbanger Mosh and D'Lo Brown. Low down. I'm pissed that I had to give the buzzer to Sting and the Great Muta as a tag team. I'm very upset about this. You know, we had last night on the stream, we actually had a Loser Leaves Town match. And Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, the best friends, were in the match. And so I said, to live up to the stipulation, someone's got to go. They were the ones who got the boot. Gone from Be the Booker. We need to have one of those Loser Leaves Town stipulations for Lowdown. All right, we got the man. We got Becky Lynch here in Be the Booker. I think Becky is on the Mount Rushmore for women's wrestlers. That's what I think. Becky Lynch is going to take on the beautiful Mariah May. You know, it excites me that could be a match one day on the main roster in the not too distant future. Becky Lynch against Blake Monroe. I look forward to that. And now our first main event of the evening. Don't let me down. Come on, Be the Booker. Don't let me down here. We have the Tribal Chief, the OTC, the head of the table, the big dog. Did I get them all? Roman Reigns. In the main event. But against who? Against John Cena. Well, then, I think the Be the Booker gods, they just were shining down upon us tonight. They just knew. There was just something in the air, and they just knew that we landed on John Cena in the main event. And I make this vow, I make this promise to you that in this match, you will get a much better finish than the one that you got tonight. I'll book a better retirement match for John Cena than Triple H did. There you go. No clean sweep, but at least we ended strong there with that good main event. I can't believe that. Cena's real last match. That's right. All right, you earned a bonus round. So now we get stipulations. This is where it gets dicey. We got some good stipulations. We got some not so good stipulations. This could be a very dangerous thing here. Buried alive. I could think of a few people who were buried alive. All right, we're going to have ourselves a buried alive tag team match. There's only one of them in history that I could think of. And it was a damn good one on SmackDown. Well, I mean, this is okay. This is kind of morbid, actually. We landed on the buried alive stipulation, and the first thing that pop up are the Von Erich boys. Although, actually, Kevin is the only one who's still alive. Kerry is not. Kevin is. All right, so that's less morbid. That's not the stipulation I was hoping to land on here for the Von Erichs. Boy, this Be the Booker has gotten dark here tonight. All the teams to land on, really. This thing has a mind of its own. Oh, man. The ladies are going to go nuts for this match. It's going to be the Von Erichs against the American males. Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Scotty Riggs in a buried alive match. For shame, Be the Booker. It's a terrible stipulation for this match. How dare you? It's awful. Have you no shame? All right, our next stipulation is going to be an I Quit match. As we see Randy Orton spitting on John Cena in the background here. Technically our second time here selecting John Cena and Be the Booker. So what we have is an I Quit women's match that will feature the Eradicator, Rhea Ripley. Good start. A very good start. A very encouraging start. I'll give this a drum roll, since it's the women's main event. I Quit match. Rhea Ripley against Tiffany Stratton. I don't know where she is, but I think that would be a good one. And this is it. We go from our night one main event to our night two main event. I don't know. It's going to be hard to top that night one main event. We had Roman Reigns and John Cena. This is going to be a casket match. We already had a buried alive match. Now we have a casket match. Be the Booker is it's in a mood tonight. I don't know what's gotten into this thing. A casket match. We have the AEW World Champion Samoa Joe on one side of the coin. On the other, Samoa Joe. Yeah, we always say Joe's going to kill you. Joe's going to kill you. Who's Joe going to kill and bury? Fuck. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. We now have a fatal four-way casket match. I don't believe there's ever been a fatal four-way casket match, but we're about to make history here by having the first ever Fatal 4-way casket match. So I guess the rules would be it's pretty much just bedlam until one person puts someone in a casket and slams the lid. And when that happens, that's it. The match is over. So that's the way this is going to work. Oh, man. All right, well, we have Samoa Joe. We need 3 more. Orange Cassidy. Oh, he'll kill Orange Cassidy easily, no problem. That's an easy one. 3 casket. Nope. 1 casket. First person who goes in, the person who puts them in wins the match. Hiroshi Tanahashi. Samoa Joe, Orange Cassidy, Hiroshi. This is like an AEW-rific match here. This is an all-elite main event. No longer it's not. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And you know what? Any main event that has Shawn Michaels and Tanahashi in it, let alone Samoa Joe, I don't care what the stipulation is. Could be dog shit on a pole for all I care. That's getting a bell. Michaels and Tanahashi, man, the one that got away from us. Tanahashi's also retiring in a few weeks. I'm gonna wager a bet here. I'm gonna wager a bet that Tanahashi has a better retirement match than John Cena did. You got Tanahashi and Okada in the Dome in front of 50,000 people. And these final batch of super chats here, we've got, first of all, Fire Grand. Welcome to all of the new subscribers. We picked up a whole bunch of them tonight. I hope you enjoy your stay. Warm Corn says, now Cena doesn't have to avoid tap water anymore. Mike Witt says, Sting's last AEW run was so much better than Cena's last WWE run, and it wasn't even close. Luis with a 22. Women of Wrestling on KCAL over John Cena's retirement match. Triple H should be banished to the Shadow Realm for that dog piss finish. They aired Women of Wrestling on your local TV station over John Cena's retirement match? Yeah, but dude, it's on Peacock. It's not on your...
Off! It's a direction you can fuck!
Unless you're saying you chose to watch that over John Cena's retirement match. BDO. Watch Saturday night's main event with my nephews and some friends who had tuned out of wrestling. Sucks having them exposed to wet fart of a show. Got me looking goofy. Yeah, you're the bad guy now. You wasted their time. I'm loving all the Super SAIYAN super chats tonight. And Glizzy Bob says, I'm AEW from now on. See you Wednesday nights, Solo. I'll be here. Unfortunately, we have 3 hours of it on Wednesday. No weekly show should ever be 3 hours. And Jonathan says, what do you say to people who said that he would tap? What do you say to people who said that he would tap? What do I say to them? I blame you. I blame you for putting that out in the atmosphere. I think you're the reason why it happened. So I say boo. Boo. Remember that woman in The Princess Bride when she wakes up from the dream? Boo. Boo to you. That's what I say. Anyway, you guys killed it. All stream long. We had upwards of 3,200 people in here at one point. Still rocking. Well over 2,300. You guys are awesome. Thank you for a great review, even if the finish of that show tonight wasn't great. I got a big podcast for you tomorrow, very John Cena-centric with some other news and notes. We'll talk more about the fallout from this show, this retirement run. Again, the top 15 best matches, plus some honorable mentions. So it's more like 20 or 21 matches. But the best ones of John Cena's career. Take some mailbag questions. It's already late, so look for it later in the afternoon. It's not going to be up too early tomorrow, but I'll get that recorded and we'll put that out. Luis, you get the last word. It says, I'm waiting for Women of Wrestling to air on Channel 9 here in LA after the news. Well, I hope it's a good show. I hope you enjoy it. And Jim H6V. Only one word encompasses that finish. Resignation or shit. Well, we're all resigned to the fact that John Cena's career is now over. And so we close the book on the Cena chapter. Someone who this company was built around for well over a decade. And he is now done. Over. Cena himself, in the interviews that he did, he said, look, I know that a few weeks from now they're going to be talking about the Royal Rumble and I will be forgotten. And everybody will have moved on. And you know what? It's true. It's true because the world moves very quickly. Here today, gone tomorrow. Out of sight, out of mind. But John Cena had himself a very blessed career. Even if this was not the most blessed year. He had a very blessed career. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a great rest of your night. And keep your eyes peeled later today for episode 942 of The Sound Off. Hit that like button on your way out and leave a comment. I will see you guys for the Raw Post Show live here on YouTube on Monday night. Until then, take care, guys.